What if Bella Swan ruled Forks High with the Blue Babes? New school year, new rules. Bella's point of view. I can't believe school started again. Alice whined. Yep, it was another year at Forks High School. And I for one was extremely excited. It was our last year, we would finally be graduating, and going to college. We would finally be free for boring old Forks. Just think of it this way, Alice, it's our last year. Next year we will be heading off the college, and partying with a bunch of college guys. I told her, yeah, all those college guys, their cars, money, their rooms. She said sheeply. I laughed. That was typical Alice behavior. I've known Alice since we were in preschool. Back in preschool, she had black, pixie-length hair, big brown eyes, pink lips. And the shortest person in class. She was also the most hyper. She always had so much energy. Now, the only difference was she had black hair extensions. She got them in the summertime, and a little taller. She was about the size of a pixie, pale skin. Her energy? Yeah, that stayed the same. Don't get too excited yet, Alice. You still have to graduate. Rosalie said, getting out of the car. I stared at Rose. She was beyond gorgeous. She had long blonde curly hair, brown eyes, a perfectly curved body, tanned. She could be a top model. She hadn't changed since preschool. Well, height-wise yes, but otherwise. She still made all the boys drool. And then there was me. Plain old Bella Swan. Brown eyes, brown hair, average weight and height, really pale skin. I wasn't the type of girl the guys would go for, especially when Rosalie was around. Come on guys, we should go inside. The bell is going to ring, I started. Heads up, a voice came from behind us. Soon enough a ball hit Alice right on tip of the head. Ow, Alice screamed. We heard 3 manly laughs. We knew exactly who those laughs belonged to. Edward, Jasper and Emmett, aka the bad boys. Sorry babe, we didn't mean to, Emmett said once he got to us, with Jasper and Edward making their way to us behind him, still laughing. Edward's POV. This sucks, I can't believe we are stuck in school again. Emmett boomed, jumping out of the car. Relax Emmett, it's our last year. Plus, we get all the sexy babes to us. Jasper said, winking at a girl, who then giggled. I couldn't help to laugh. It was such an Emmett and Jasper thing to do. These guys were like my brothers, we've known each other forever. Emmett was huge, the biggest guy I know, and probably the biggest guy in school. He had short curly brown hair, dark brown eyes, and very muscular. He was probably the most dirty-minded person you would ever meet. And then there was Jasper. He had blonde hair, skinny, blue eyes. Pretty much the guy of any girl's dreams. He was known for his good looks and his terrible reputation with the teachers. And then there was me, Edward. I have brown hair and green eyes. My body was pretty average. The boys and I pretty much ruled the school. Every girl loved us, which made Emmett pretty happy. Yeah, whatever. Hey look, there's Newton. Loser hasn't changed a bit. Hey Mike, get your ass over here. Emmett shouted. Mike Newton, the biggest loser in the school, started to make his way towards us. He wore the biggest glasses and highest pants, the most awful-looking vests any of us had ever seen. Hey guys, Mike said to us, snorting. Yeah, whatever Newton, we just wanted to say you got a rip in your underwear. Emmett said, trying not to laugh. Jasper knew what this meant. Gosh, do I really? Where? He said, turning his back to us. Right there, Jasper said, pulling Newton's underwear so high that they ripped. OWW, you guys, Mike said. He ran away to the nurse's room, but tripped on the way. Everyone laughed. Nice guys, I told them, slapping them a high five. Emmett reached into the car and got the football. We weren't in any sports team, we were too cool for that, but we still OYED throwing and catching the ball once in a while. Go long Jasper, Emmett shouted, getting ready to throw. Jasper started running far from us. Emmett threw the ball with all his force, which was a lot. It had gone farther than Jasper had expected. Ow, we heard a pixie voice shout. We all knew whom that voice belonged to. We laughed and started running over to Alice. Sorry babe, we didn't mean to, Emmett said, once we reached the girls. What the hell is wrong with you? Rosalie said. Relax hot stuff, we were just playing with the ball. Don't have to get touchy. Unless you want to, Emmett said, winking at Rosalie. Emmett probably had the biggest crush on Rosalie. And he wasn't afraid to show it either. You are such a pig, Rosalie said under her breath, rolling her eyes. Girls, let's move, she snapped. The blue babes started walking towards the school. Damn, those girls haven't changed one bit. Jasper mused aloud, watching them. Yep, and this year, they are all ours. Emmett told us. And what makes you think that, big boy? I asked him. Those girls will never go out with us. Yes, they will. They're just pretending that they hate us. In fact, they adore us. They have dreams about us. I think you're mistaking them for yourself, Emmett. Jasper laughed. Shut up, Emmett said, punching Jasper's arm. Hey, Jasper said, getting ready to take a swing at him. Mr. Hale, first day of school and you are already showing signs of no improvement. I thought you would change during the summer. Apparently not. Me, Ryden said. Me, Ryden was a teacher at Forks, and we were pretty sure she was in love with Jasper. Whenever he got detention, she would watch him. She was usually the one sending him to detention. Not a very good beginning for a new year, Mr. Hale. If I keep seeing this, I will be seeing you in detention, a lot, she said, looking at him. It won't happen again, Jasper grumbled. Very well. Now you boys should be heading off to class, now. Yes, me, Ryden, we whispered. We started walking away. I turned around to see Ms. Ryden. She seemed to be looking right at Jasper's ass. I laughed. What are you laughing at? Jasper asked. Nothing, I said. Bella P.O.V. As the girls and I were chatting about how lame the boys were, the bell rang. We casually made our way to class. Alice and I had the same homeroom. Gym. Great, I thought. I was extremely clumsy, so gym wasn't my favorite class. Alright, now let's start with 3 laps around the track, the coach said. Everyone grumbled and cussed under their breath. Thank goodness this was an all-girls gym class, so I wouldn't embarrass myself and Alice. When we walked outside to the track, I noticed the boys' gym class was already outside. Oh great, Alice said. What? I asked her. She N-S-worded me by pointing to the 2 people I least wanted to see. Edward and Jasper were standing there. Apparently they had noticed us, since they both smirked. I blushed when I saw Edward smirk. I had always had a little crush on him. I don't know why, there was just something about him. Maybe it was his amazing green eyes. I wasn't sure. Come on, Bella, Alice snapped, bringing me back to reality. We both started to run. When we got near the boys, I saw Edward smile at me, which totally made me trip over Alice, which caused us both to fall. Bella, she roared at me. I'm so sorry, Alice, I apologized, helping her up. I heard 2 people laughing far behind us, where stood Edward and Jasper. And that is what we would call a strike, Jasper shouted between laughs. Edward started laughing even more. Oh, shut up, Jasper, Alice shouted back at him, rolling her eyes. Let's go, Bella, she said, and we started running again. The rest of the gym class was pretty boring. Nothing really happened. We just played soccer. My next class was English. Again, nothing happened. Finally, after what seemed like forever, class was over. It was lunchtime. I went to meet the girls at our usually table. When I got there, Rosalie was the only one there. Hey Rose, I said, sitting down. Hey, what's up? She asked me. Nothing. Where's Al? I started. I hate this, Alice mused aloud as she sat down. What is it now? Rosalie asked, not sounding as if she even cared. Well, thanks to Jasper I got a detention. Can you believe it? First day of school and that boy already got me in trouble, she said. I could tell she was upset. Shocker, Rose said sarcastically. What's that supposed to mean? Alice snapped. Oh please, Alice. Everyone knows Jasper's got the hots for you, Rosalie said, sounding like it was the most obvious thing in the world. Well, it might as well have been. But Alice was a little slow, so it was kinda obvious that Alice didn't notice. Whatever. Hey look, someone dropped $5. Oh boy, this is great, Alice said. She got up and picked up the money. Alice loved free things. I'm getting myself a shake at Burger Palace after school today, she said, giggling, putting some of the money down her bra. That's where she kept all her money. You know, this day was pretty crappy, thanks to that loser Jasper. But things are starting to turn around, Alice said. As she said this, I noticed Jasper had crept up right behind her. Rosalie must have noticed as well since she smirked. I mean, please, I'm not going to let some GUI, she said, starting to walk back, when she walked into Jasper. She didn't even need to look behind her to know whom she had just walked on. He bent down to her level. I'll have that back, he whispered in her ear. I saw Alice shiver a bit. She gave him the $2 that she was holding in her hand. I could tell she was hoping that he hadn't noticed the amount he had lost. She looked up at him, expecting him to leave. But he looked back at her, giving her an "I know you have more" look. She rolled her eyes and reached in her bra and gave him the rest of his money. Thanks, he whispered again in her ear, tapping her butt before he walked away. She gasped and walked back to the table. "Today is the worst day ever," she murmured. Jasper's POV. As usually, when we walked into the school, all the girls looked at us in awe. I winked at some of them as Edward and I made our way to the gym. We had gym first period. It didn't really matter though, chances are we would skip it a lot. "Alright guys, today we are going to be doing track," the coach told us. Edward and I tuned out. We didn't really care about track. I looked out to the track and noticed the girls' gym class walk out. And then I saw her. Alice Brandon. She was probably the most beautiful person I have ever seen. Even in the gross school gym uniform she looked amazing. Edward must have had seen me look because he started to smirk, which made me smirked. We looked at the girls. As they started running I noticed Bella looking back at us, or more likely Edward. He smirked right at her, which caused her to trip on Alice, and soon the two girls were on the ground. Edward and I both started laughing. "Bella," I heard Alice roar at Bella. "I'm so sorry, Alice," Bella apologized, helping Alice up. "And that is what we would call a strike," I shouted between laughs. Edward started laughing even more. "Oh, shut up, Jasper," Alice shouted back at me. I laughed again. "Hale, Cullen, shut your traps and start on those jumping jacks," the coach yelled at us. The rest of the gym class, Edward and I without effort did whatever the coach told us to do. The next class one had was math, which was completely stupid and boring. Finally, it was lunchtime, the time of day when the guys and I went around picking on the nerds to get money. Once I had gotten enough money I made my way to the vending machines. The money must have had fallen out of my pocket. "Becca, use," I heard a pixie voice behind me shout. "Whatever. Hey look, someone dropped $5. Oh boy, this is great." I turned around and saw Alice jumping up and down. She was looking at her friends. I quietly made my way, and in a matter of seconds I was right behind her. I was nearly touching ass. I tried not to look. If I did, my plan would be totally ruined. "I'm getting myself a shake at Burger Palace after school today," she said giggling, putting some of the money down her bra. Again I tried not to look. I knew if I did my pants would get tight, which might ruin my plan. You know, this day was pretty crappy. Thanks to that loser Jasper, but things are starting to turn around," Alice said. I saw her foot move and felt her body against mine. She stiffened. I leveled myself to her. "I'll have that back," I whispered in her ear. She quickly gave me my money back. She looked at me with her beautiful brown eyes. I looked back at her, knowing she still had some of my money. She rolled her eyes at me and reached into her bra and gave me the rest. "Thanks," I whispered. I gave her a quick tap on the ass and walked away. "I'm never using this money." Alice's POV. After a terrible lunch, the afternoon went by really slow. I was in such a terrible mood. I didn't want to go to detention. It was all Jasper's fault. I shouldn't be in trouble for something he did. Jasper. He was such a bad boy, which was probably the reason I liked him. But there was also a side of me that couldn't stand him or his friends. They could be such pigs. I snapped back to reality when the bell rang. Oh, it was now time for my detention. And I, for one, was scared. "Relax, Alice, it's only detention. I've been there many times, it's not that bad." Rosalie tried to reassure me. It wasn't working. I could feel my palms getting sweaty. My head was going in every direction. As the girls and I walked to the detention room, I could feel my legs shake in every step I took. Finally, we were there. "Good luck. We will meet you at the Burger Palace, okay?" Bella asked. She put a smile on, trying to make me feel better. I guess it wasn't so bad. It was only detention, right? "Okay, bye," I said. I slowly opened the door. At the desk was seated Ms. Ryden. I looked across the room. Jasper was not here yet. "Take a seat," Ms. Ryden told me. I made my way to the back of the room. I took a seat in the very last desk. And I waited. Was this it? Did I only have to sit in a desk and wait? Suddenly I heard the door open. And there he was. I noticed Ms. Ryden flattening her skirt before she got up. "You're late, Mr. Hale," she said in a tone that was so obviously trying to hide the joy in her voice to see that he was here. I rolled my eyes. "Sorry, ma'am," he said. I could hear the lilt of his Texas accent that he had left. He had moved here from Texas in grade 3. I remembered how much I thought his accent was amazing. He started making his way to a back desk. I turned away from him, trying to pretend that I didn't care that he was here. I heard his footsteps getting closer and closer, until I heard a squeak coming from the desk in front of me. "Hello, Alice," I heard his voice. I looked up at him. Figures. He has a smirk on his lips. Leave me alone, I told him. I didn't want to talk to him. Apparently we weren't even allowed to talk in detention, and I for one did not want to get in trouble again. Oh come on babe, you can't be mad at me just 'cause I got ya in here. Don't call me babe, I snapped. Why the hell not? Don't you like it? He asked me. No, I shouted. Both of you, stop talking back there, or else I will give you detention for tomorrow. Ms. Ryden snapped at us. We sat quietly for a couple of minutes until Ms. Ryden broke the silence. I must leave for a couple of minutes. I expect you both to stay in your seats and to be quiet, got it? She told us as she walked to the door. We nodded our heads. Once she had left the room, Jasper started talking to me again. God, I hate that bitch. I could help but to notice his accent appeared to show more when he swore. Why? I asked. She's always busting me for no damn reason. Maybe you should get back at her, I said, laughing. He looked at me as if I had just explained him what the periodic table of elements was. That's a great idea. We could make her life here at Forks High School a live-in hellhole. He exclaimed. Wait, we? What do you mean we? I asked confused. Well, you're going to help me of course. Haha, no, I shouted. How on earth could he think that I would help him? What has he been smoking? Come on please, he said, looking at me with his beautiful blue eyes. I tried to look away, but I couldn't. Oh fine, I don't know what came over me. Yes, this is going to be great. He got up from his seat. On one condition, you make all the plans, got it? And if I get expelled, you are so dead. I threatened. Don't worry dollface, you'll be fine, he said walking towards the door. Where are you going? Detention isn't over. I'm going to meet up with the guys. Later babe, he said as he left the classroom. Damn, there he goes calling me babe again. A couple of minutes after Jasper had left, Ms. Ryden came back into the class. She had a stunned expression once she noticed Jasper wasn't here. Where'd he go? She asked. I'm not sure. Alright, well you can go now. I nodded my head and left the classroom. Once I was out I went to the front of the school, where stood Bella and Rosalie. Bella seemed to have noticed me first. She ran to me and gave me a hug. How was it? She asked. She seemed very intrigued. It was okay. I guess, there wasn't really much to say. Well, the whole Jasper thing is something to say, but I didn't want to tell them now. That's it? Oh, well we are going to Burger Palace, wanna come? Bella asked me, smiling. Sure, I smiled back at her. We hopped into the car and made our way to the Burger Palace. The Burger Palace was the best place to get burgers and milkshakes, and it was a great place to just hang out with friends. Once we got in, I noticed that the bad boys were here. Great, this is just great. Emmett's P.O.V. Where the hell is Jasper? I thought he said he was going to ditch detention. I stated. Edward and I were sitting in Burger Palace, aka the bad boy headquarters. We always met up here. It was like a second home. Relax man, he probably on his way. Edward chuckled. After a couple minutes of talking about random crap, Jasper came in through the doors. Jasper, Edward and I shouted at the same time. Hey guys, what's up? Jasper asked once he got to us. We was just waiting for ya. What took you so long? Edward asked Jasper. I couldn't get that chick Alice off of me. Jasper answered. Nice. I slapped his back, Abbott to hard. As I did this we noticed the door of the Burger Palace open, and there stood the blue babes. God, Rosalie was such a babe. She was the most gorgeous person I had ever seen. Blue babes at 12 o'clock. Edward murmured. Well, I'm thirsty. You guys want anything to drink? I asked them. Yeah, I'll game a chocolate milkshake. Jasper replied. Ditto. They waited for me to go. I looked at them and laughed. Pay up assholes, I told them. They sighed and gave me their money. I walked over to the counter and ordered our drinks. Instead of going back to the tab, and waiting and then going back to get the drinks, I decided to stay and wait. That was a good choice. Rosalie walked up to the counter and ordered some drinks. She also decided to wait for them. Hello, Emmett, she said. Her voice was so seductive. Hey baby girl, how are you? I asked, turning myself to face her. Damn, she was beautiful. How are you? She asked me. I'm good. How about you? I gently put my arms around her waist. I heard her giggle Abbott as I did this. I'm good. I haven't seen you in a while. She whispered in my ear. Well, we can change that. I growled. She giggled again. 2 chocolate and 1 strawberry shakes are ready. The waiter said. Oh, those are mine. I said. I reached to go get the 2 chocolates. I must have hit another glass because I heard Rosalie scream. Her scream stunned me so much that I dropped the drinks in my hands, which sadly landed on Rosalie. She screamed again, but this time, I couldn't help but to laugh. It was too funny. "What the hell is wrong with you?" she shouted at me. "I'm sorry, it's just so funny." I was still laughing. "Oh my God, Rosalie, are you okay?" Alice rushed to her side. "Do I look okay?" she snapped at Alice. "Come on, let's get out of here," Bella said suddenly. "I didn't even hear here, come here." "No, that's it, I have had enough of these stupid boys ruining everything for us. From now on, we are on Boyfast. Which mean we will not be talking to any of you stupid bad boys. You stupid assholes are out of you lives." As Rosalie finished her speech, I found Jasper and Edward to my side. "Relax, Rosalie, it's called an accident," Edward sighed, trying to calm the situation down. "No, it's not. And Jasper getting Alice in trouble at school? Yeah, probably not an accident," she snapped. "Well, I think Lice enjoyed it since I was cut off by Jasper's hand covering my mouth." "What? I didn't enjoy it at all," Alice squeaked. "You guys just stay out of our lives, got it?" But before we could answer Rosalie, the Blue Babes had left the building. Bella's POV. After the whole Burger Palace incident, we decided to go to Rosalie's house. "You weren't being serious about the whole Boyfast thing, right, Rosé?" Alice asked with a nervous laugh. "Yes, I was, and I made up some rules. You cannot have any contact with the bad boys. Contact includes touching, talking, making eye contact, writing notes, anything. You cannot look at the bad boys. If these rules are broken, you will be kicked out of the Blue Babes, forever, which means we will be taking your Blue Babes jacket." "Got it," Rosalie finished. Alice and I both gulped and nodded. This was not going to be fun. Alice's POV. "No, this was bad, very bad. How could we, the Blue Babes, goddesses of Forks High School, go on Boyfast? Especially, why now, since I'm supposed to help Jasper get back to Mrs. Ryden? How was I going to do this? Maybe Jasper would understand, but I want to help him. I mean, spending time alone with Jasper wouldn't be so bad." "Oh, Alice, what have you gotten yourself into? You aren't being serious about this whole," I paused, "Boyfast thing, are you?" I asked Rose, adding a laugh at the end, that came out nervous. "Yes, I was, Alice. Is that problem?" she snapped. "No," I said with sigh. "Actually, it was huge problem. I just think this whole thing is kinda silly. I mean, I'm sure Emmett didn't mean to drop the milkshakes on you, Rose." Bella chimed in. Sweet Bella, always looking at the bright side of things. "Oh please, Bella, we all know you like Edward." Bella blushed at this comment. "But these guys are taking it too far. It's so obvious that Emmett did it on purpose. And Jasper getting Alice in trouble? Yeah, that was on purpose. Those guys are just trying to make our last year at school a living hell," Rosalie shouted. We all sat there quietly. "I think we should go," I said. Bella nodded, agreeing that it was time for us to leave. We said bye to Rose and started walking home. "This sucks," Bella broke the silence. "I know. Quote, I can't believe Rosalie is making such a big deal out of a stupid little accident." Bella sounded sad. I felt bad. We all knew that Edward liked Bella and that Bella liked Edward, and maybe, just maybe, if it weren't in this stupid Boyfast, Edward would finally ask Bella to go out. I know, it's awful. I didn't really know what to say. "Yeah, well, this is my house. I guess I will talk to you later. Thanks for listening," she said. "Anytime." I tried to smile. It didn't work too well. After our goodbye hugs, I made my way to my house, wondering how I was going to manage to help Jasper get back at Mrs. Ryden and avoid the Blue Babes at the same time. This could not go well. Bella's POV. I sighed as I got into the house. I was home alone. My parents were gone. I quickly ran to my room. Maybe a good shower would help me get my mind off of this whole Boyfast thing. I mean, was Rosalie really being serious about this? Yeah, right. Rose, on Boyfast? Huh. She was the first to lose her virginity in the Blue Babes. Alice and I were still virgins. She would never be able to survive, especially with her huge crush on Emmett. I undressed myself and stepped into the shower, the warm water burning my skin a little. Once I was done my shower, I got dressed into an old pair of orange short shorts and a green tank top. I took an old-fashioned magazine and sat on my bed, looking at the pictures. After a couple of pages, I started hearing a faint sound coming from my window, like someone was hitting it. I walked over to it. Edward. Edward was at my window. I was stunned. I opened the window. "What are you doing here?" I hissed at him. If the girls saw this, I would be doomed. Can I come in? He asked. One sec, I told him. I ran down and flung the door open. I signaled him in. Once he was inside, I quickly closed the door. So, why are you here? I asked him. I just wanted to see if you were okay. He said, in a shy, hushed tone. Ah, he could be so cute. I smiled shyly. Of course, why wouldn't I be? Well, the whole Burger Palace thing. You looked kinda scared, he trailed off. Nah, I'm used to it. It's typical Rosalie behavior. I laughed. Well, that's good. He smiled at me. I couldn't help to smile back at him. We stood there quietly for a moment. Well, I guess I better get going, before your folks get home, he said, walking towards the door. Thanks for worrying about me, I heard myself whisper, as I followed him to the door. He took a step in front of me. Anytime, he whispered. I suddenly felt his lips quickly brush against mine. Before I could realize what had just happened, he was already gone. Wow, Rosalie's P.O.V. As soon as Bella and Alice left, I quickly ran to my room. I didn't want to think about all of this anymore. I took a quick shower, and went to bed, trying to forget about today's madness. The next morning I woke up with a headache. I didn't want to go to school, but I had to. I quickly got dressed in a short skirt, a black tank top, and my blue babes jacket and an old pair of sneakers. I skipped breakfast. I had no time. I had to go pick up Alice and Bella. I quickly said bye to my parents and got into the car. I stopped at Bella's house first. She stepped out of the house as soon as I parked the car. She was wearing a pair of jeans, a red shirt, her blue babes jacket, and a pair of black flats. Very Bella. She never liked showing her body. Good morning, she said as she got in the car. Good morning yourself. I smiled at her. I pressed the gas pedal and started driving towards Alice's house. She didn't live very far from Bella, so it did not take very long to get there. We were right on time. Alice was walking out of her house as we stopped the car. She was wearing jean capri pants, a pink tank top, her blue babes jacket, and a groovy pair of low-cut Converse. She also had a huge pair of blue sunglasses that covered almost all of her petite face. Hello ladies, she said, as she jumped into the back seat. We drove in silence for a couple of minutes. I couldn't help but to notice that Bella had a dreamy expression on her face. You alright, Bella? I asked her. Huh? Oh, yeah, she blushed. Yeah, right. That was the only conversation, or lack of one, during the whole ride to school. As we got out of the car we, or at least I, couldn't help but to realize the bad boys were at the front doors, as if they were waiting for us. Remember, Boy Fest, I hissed at the blue babes. They nodded their heads. We started to walk towards them. I couldn't help but to get a quick glance at Emmett. Maybe this whole Boy Fest thing wasn't such a good idea at the time. But I couldn't back down now. It was too late, and I never backed down. Hey Rosalie, Ed said to me once we reached the bad boys. I ignored him. I didn't even look at him. Oh come on, you can't be mad because of yesterday, it was an accident, he asked, sounding confused. Again, I ignored him. This ain't going to last forever. You girls won't be able to keep your hands off of us. Just you watch, your little boy fast will be over in no time. Emmett shouted as we stepped into the school. I heard Alice sigh in relief as we finally got far from them. This was not going to be easy. Alice's P.O.V. After gym with Bella, I had science, which I thought was pretty boring. Halfway rough the class 1 asked the teacher if I could go to the bathroom. He let me. Chances are he wasn't going to see me for a while. I went into the bathroom for Abbott, just to fix up mount makeup in my hair. Once I was done I decided to go for a walk. After a couple of minutes I suddenly found myself in a dark room. What the H? I was cut off by a shush. Jasper? Hey, he said. I gasped. I couldn't be talking to him. I wasn't allowed. Jasper, I can't be talking to you. I told him. Relax, she won't find us in here. He had a point. Why would Rosalie look inside a janitor's closet? What do you want? I asked him. Just wanted to see how you were doing, he said, wrapping his arm around my waist, as his other hand leaned into the wall. I'm fine, I said. Sweet. Listen, I got an idea for getting back at Mrs. Ryden, he told me, leaning in closer. Jasper, I don't think. We should paint her car a dirty brown and spray paint, thunder thighs, all over it. He told me proudly. I winced. Are you sure about this? I told him. It seemed, rather, what's the word I'm looking for? Oh. Stupid. Come on babe, we can totally do this. He reassured me. He started nuzzling my neck. I shivered. But, what if we get caught by Mrs. Right, and what if I get caught by the Blue Babes? When are we even going to do this? So many questions. I know where she lives, we can do it during the night. When the Blue Babes won't see you, we won't get caught. Wait, how do you know where Mrs. Ryden lives? I laughed. Yeah, she slipped it in my pocket once. Damn, that lady's a creeper. I laughed again. He smiled. God, he was so perfect. So, you in? He asked. I though for a minute, was this really good idea? Yeah, I am in. I told him. Good, he said. He slowly brought his face from my neck to my face. We stood there like that for a moment. He was about to kiss me. Oh my God, just as he was about to press his lips against mine, the bell rang, and he was out of there in a flash. What have I gotten myself into this time? Rosalie's P.O.V. After 2 excruciating periods, it was finally lunchtime. I met up with Bella and Alice at my locker. You guys want to go? Alice asked. Sure, let's go, I said. I led the way to our usual table. Once we had gotten into the lunch area, I stopped walking and stood there in shock. Bella and Alice stumbled at my sudden stop, but soon realized why. The bad boys were sitting at our table. Emmett's P.O.V. During the first 2 periods of the day, I tried to come up with a way to get the Blue Babes to talk to us. What could we do? What is something they do? Something they basically own at this school that we could take from them. And then it hit me. The Blue Babes' lunch table. The second the bell rang, I sprung from my desk and ran to my locker. Soon enough, Jasper and Edward joined me. Guys, I know a way we can get the girls to talk to us. I told them. And what way is that? Edward asked. We steal their lunch table, I said proudly. I expected them to praise me, but I got nothing but laughs. What difference is that going to make? Jasper asked between laughs. Guys, they love that table. It's the only table they use at this school. If we sit there, Rosalie will blow. Alice did mention something about not being able to talk to us. Jasper said, exactly, Rosalie will break the boy fast, and then Bella and Alice will just give it up. They will be ours in no time. Whoa, maybe Emmett is smarter than we thought. Edward chuckled. Haha, now come on, we better get moving so we get there before them. We quickly started running to the lunch area. Good they weren't there yet. We sat down at their table, and soon enough the Blue Babes entered the room. Rosalie's P.O.V. Are they sitting at our table? Bella asked quietly. Yes, I said through my teeth. I wanted to walk over to them and give them a piece of my mind, but I knew I couldn't. Come on, let's go sit in the car, I told them. They nodded silently. That was a close one. Edward's P.O.V. The guys and I waited for the Blue Babes to come over here and break their boy fast. But sure enough, the Blue Babes walked out of the lunch area. What the hell? Emmett growled as he saw them walk away. They didn't come, Jasper whispered. Nice, Emmett, your plan did not work, I said under my breath. Shut up, he muttered. We spent the rest of the lunch hour sitting at the Blue Babes' table in silence. Rosalie's P.O.V. The girls and I spent lunch in my car chatting about how pathetic the guys were being. After the bell rang, I headed off the outdoor ed, which was my favorite class, until this stupid boy fast thing. Why? Because Emmett was in my class. The class was supposed to be girls only, but since there weren't enough people, we were forced to do it with the guys. Alright, I have great news for you guys and gals. The coach told us, maybe we could stick to the original plan and have gym only girls? We will be heading off to the woods for a camping trip as a class for a whole week. The coach shouted. I watched her with stunned eyes. What? Emmett's P.O.V. Yes, I can't believe it. I will be spending a whole week with Rosalie. She's going to end up talking to me. Hell, I'll probably get into her pants. This was going to be great. We spent the whole class talking about the activities we would be doing and the safety rules. Since I had French class last, I decided to skip it. I waited for the last bell, and finally the day was over. I could now tell the guys about how I was going to be able to have Rosalie all to myself. Rosalie's P.O.V. I slammed my locker door shut. This could not be happening. How could I be stuck with that pig for a whole week? Hey Rose, what's wrong? Bella asked. I have to spend a whole freaking week with Emmett, that's what's wrong. I snapped. Why? Alice asked in disbelief. For stupid outdoor ed. Can't you just skip it? No, I can't just skip it. It counts for half my mark this term. Oh, well, I can't drive home with you guys. I gotta stay here for Abbott. Alice said quietly. Why? I am getting tutored for French. She said. I thought you knew French. So did I, but apparently I don't. she said with a nervous laugh at the end. Whatever, I guess it's just Bella and I. I can't either. I have to stay here too. I am getting tutored in math. Whatever. Bye. I told them and left the school. Something was going on with those two. Bella's POV. I felt bad for lying to Rosalie and Alice, but this was almost the only time of day I could see Edward without the girls finding out. I quickly said bye to Alice and walked towards my meeting point with Edward. We were meeting in the the lunchroom. Once I got there, Edward was already there. Hey, I said shyly. Hello, how are you? He said with a big grin. I couldn't help but to grin back. I am good. You? I am better know that you're here, he said, slowly putting his arms around my waist and lightly pushing me towards him. I giggled. I can't stay here for long, I said quietly. I know, don't worry about it. He gave me a quick peck on the cheek. We stood there for a couple of moments in silence, until we both heard two very familiar voices. We quickly hid behind a wall. Alice's POV. Jasper and I met in the back of the lunch area. So are you really going to help me with this? Jasper asked me once we came to a stop. I took a deep breath in. Yes, good, we can do it Saturday. He told me. Why Saturday? I asked, confused. So we can celebrate after, he said, pulling me towards him. Oh, was all that came out. I'll even pick you up with my own car, he whispered in my ear. I couldn't help but to giggle sheeply. You have the cutest laugh, he whispered again. Oh my God, he was testing me. Oh, stop it, I giggled again. This guy knew how to make me act like an idiot. Listen, I gotta go. Alright, maybe I'll come check up on you later tonight, he said as he nuzzled my neck. Sure, I caked. Later, babe. He gave me a quick tap on the butt and left. Whoa, Bella's POV. I could not believe what I had just seen. Had Alice just been talking to Jasper? Had Jasper just be touching Alice? Alice broke the rules of the boy fast. Did this mean I had to tell Rosalie? I have to go. Bye. Edward whispered and quickly kissed my cheek. I didn't even care. I was too confused. I sighed, apparently louder than I meant to, since Alice heard me. Bella? She questioned as she got closer to me. Alice? Oh, what are you doing here? She asked nervously. I was here with Edward. No, I mean I was here with myself, I said. Damn it, I blew it. You broke the boy fast rules. She gasped. So did you. I hissed at her. I know, I didn't mean to, I swear. But you saw him. He was all over me. Does this mean we have to tell Rosalie? I asked her. Maybe, we can keep it a secret? She said in a hopeful tone. I guess yeah, let's keep it a secret, I said. Let's pretend we never saw any of this. Right, I smiled. She returned the smile. Now let's get the hell out of here, she said as she started walking away. Right, I caught up to her. Rosalie's POV. It was official. In less than 24 hours, I was going to be on a bus, on my way to go camping with Emmett. Just my luck, my mom had signed the for last night. Not only was this whole trip on my mind, but I was still wondering why Alice and Bella were acting so weird yesterday. I mean them, getting tutored? Yeah right, something was definitely going on. The next day had gone by pretty quickly, sadly. After school I invited Bella and Alice over to my house for a going-away party. They were sleeping over, even if they had school tomorrow. Come on Rose, it won't be that bad. Chances are, you and Emmett won't even be near each other. Alice reassured me. I guess you're right, I muttered. Come on, this is a party right? Less moping, more partying, Bella shouted, turning the music up. We all started dancing and having fun. Things were finally starting to feel normal again. At around 2 a.m. we finally fell asleep. At around 6:15 a.m. my alarm clock went off. Oh no, Alice yelped as she heard the alarm. Come on, we gotta get up. Rosalie's bus leaves in half an hour. At around 6:45 we were finally ready. This was probably the fastest time we had ever gotten ready in. At 6:55, we were at school. Well, I guess this is goodbye for a week, I said sadly. Yep, I guess we will see you next Friday, Alice said, with tears in her eyes. Don't cry Alice, it's not like I am going to die or something. I laughed. Don't jinx it, she hissed at me. Relax Alice. Bella stepped in. All students going on the camping trip, please make your way onto the bus, the coach said to us. Bye girls, I said. We hugged each other goodbye. Once I stepped into the bus I saw Jessica had gotten a seat in the very back. Can I sit with you? I asked her. Of course you can, silly, she said in her usual cheery voice. I noticed Emmett looking for me. Once he finally spotted me, a frown came on his face as he noticed that all the seats around me were already taken. Bella's POV. Alice, NDI waved to Rosalie from the back window. The bus started to move. Alice started running for the bus. We saw Rosalie smile. Alice stopped and started walking back to me. Well, she's gone, Alice sighed. Yep, she's gone. Think she's going to last? Alice asked me. Nope, Bella's POV. Well, she's gone, Alice said as we watched the bus leave. Yep, no more Rosalie. There's one advantage to this, Alice told me. What that? I asked. It will be easier to sneak around with the guys, she say, skipping her way to the inside of the school. Alice, I scowled at her. I started running to catch up with her. Once we walked into the school, we made our way to the locker room to get changed. Today we were outside playing soccer. After we were done getting dressed, we went outside with the rest of our class. We were right on time. Alright girls, today, as you know, we will be playing soccer. But because I thought it was going to be boring just playing as girls, I challenged the boys' gym class to a game. The class that wins will get a breakfast made by the losing class. So play it like champions, girls. I want to see you all playing at your very best, the coach told us. Alice and I's mouth fell open. We had to play against the guys? Alright, 2 warm-up laps, let's go girls. Alice and I slowly got up and started running. Soon enough Alice and I both gasped. We turned around and saw Jasper and Edward with huge smirks on their faces. Do you guys enjoy touching our butts? I asked them. Yes, Jasper answered. Alice and I rolled our eyes. You girls ready for a friendly competition? Edward asked. It won't be friendly with Bella and I on there, Alice warned them. Alice and I had played on a soccer team for 4 years when we were young. We would always get benched for hitting people on the other teams. Oh yeah, you girls play it rough? Jasper asked. Yep, Alice said with pride. Even in bed? Jasper asked suggestively. No, well, Jasper and I have also been known to play rough. Edward say. I guess it will be an interesting game then, I said. Alice and I made our way to the girls' side and Jasper and Edward made their way to the boys' side. Alice and I played forward. We were in game mode now. Jasper and Edward were also playing forward. Alright, now you guys play the best you can, got it? Coach said. Yep, both teams said. As soon as the coach blew the whistle, Alice and I ran to the ball. I got there first. As soon as Alice realized I had the ball, she ran over to the boys' side of the field, towards the goalie area. I ran the same way Alice had. Bella, I am open, she shouted at me. I ran faster, pushing my way through some guys. I kicked the ball at her. As soon as it touched Alice's foot, Alice started running closer to the net. Jasper ran full speed towards Alice. He was getting closer and closer. Alice, watch out, I shouted at her. She looked back and noticed Jasper was right behind her. She ran faster with her speedy little legs. But she wasn't fast enough. Jasper reached out for Alice and grabbed her shirt, which caused Alice to fly back and hit the ground. Told you we played rough, babe, I heard him tell her. Alice got up. She was red with fury. Oh, he was in for it now. Alice looked at me. I noticed she was showing me 3 fingers. Play 3. Play 3 was a good one. I quickly ran my way to Jasper. I ran next to him. You better get ready, I panted, running faster to get in front of him. And right on cue, little Alice threw herself on Jasper's back. The sudden weight on his back made him fall CK wards, which gave me full access to the ball. Nice, Alice, I told her. She gave me a weak thumbs up. I felt a little bad for her. She was so small, and now she was under Jasper's big body. I ran faster to the guy's net. I was so close. Right as I was about to kick the ball, I felt a strong force push me. I felt myself fall to the ground, letting the ball go. I looked up to see who had pushed me. It was none other than Edward. You alright? He asked me, helping me up. Yep, I said quickly as I got the ball. Hey, he shouted. I kicked the ball as soon as I had gotten enough speed. Score. Yeah, I shouted. I was soon surrounded by my teammates. Girls rule, we chanted. You girls are playing great, the coach told us. The rest of the game pretty much continued like that. It was 3-2 for the girls. Only 1 more minute in the game. Mike Newton had the ball. This was going to be a piece of cake. As soon as Mike got near Angela, she waved at him and gave him a little wink, which distracted him and caused him to trip. Alice quickly got the ball and passed it to me. I was wide open. No one was going to stop me now. I kicked the ball and it went right to the net. The coach whistled and signaled to the girls' side, indicating that we won. We all cheered and huddled for a group hug. Great job, girls. I've never seen such teamwork. Great job. And now we get a breakfast made by the boys. Haha suckers. The coach praised us. Alright, you girls can go get change. Alice and I slowly made our way to the change room, panting. Great job out there, Bella. Alice prayed. You did a fabulous job. The way you just launched yourself onto Jasper's back. I panted. We laughed. As we got closer to the changing room, I felt an arm wrap itself around my waist. I looked up to see whom it was, Edward. I looked to Alice and noticed Jasper had done the same. You girls weren't kidding when you said you played rough. Edward laughed. Yeah, seriously. You girls are animals. Jasper said, pulling Alice closer to his side. We warned you, Alice chanted. Once we finally made our way to the change rooms, we kept almost started walking in when we realized the guys were still holding us. No guys allowed, I said, laughing. Right, Edward sighed. Giving me a little wink, I blushed. After getting ready, the bell rang. I had French class. I sat there, not paying attention to what the teacher was saying. French was way too easy. I wonder how Rosalie is doing. Rosalie's POV. This was probably the longest bus ride ever. Jessica, being the head Cree leader, managed to get everyone to start singing stupid camp songs. After 2 horrible hours, we were finally there. Alright, today's first task is to get your tent up. You will be sleeping in the tent with one partner. Emmett, you will be with Eric. Taylor, you will be with Ashley. Rosalie, you will be with Jessica. John, you will be with Timmy. I tuned out after I heard my name. Great, I am stuck with Jessica. Hey tent buddy, she exclaimed once she came over. Hi, I said, trying to sound cheery. Let's go get our tent up. We walked over to the tent pieces. I had no idea where these pieces were supposed to go, but obviously Jessica did. In 20 minutes, our tent was up. Good job, girls, the teacher told us. Jessica smiled and went to go talk to her friends. I stood next to our tent. I was already bored. You look a little lonely. Cutie. I heard Emmett's voice. I rolled my eyes and walked away. I felt his warm hand wrap my arm. What do you want? I hissed at him. Oh, you talked to me, he said, surprised. I couldn't help but to smile about. You have such a beautiful smile, he told me. I blushed. I can't be talking to you, I muttered softly. They aren't here. They want no. It can be our little secret. He whispered. I can't, I told him, and walked away. I knew he wasn't going to give up, but I had to try. I couldn't let the other girls down. This was going to be a tough week. Bella's POV. After a surprisingly good gym class, the rest of the day went by pretty slow. Alice and I didn't see the guys for the rest of the day. After last period, Alice and I met up at her locker. So what do you want to do tonight? Alice asked. I'm not sure, what about you? Well, there is a football game tonight. Maybe we could go? She suggested. Since when are you into football? I asked her, laughing. I just thought it would be fun, there's nothing else to do. And maybe we can get ourselves some football players. She winked. I like the way you think. But what about Edward and Jasper? What about them? We aren't supposed to be dating them, right? So if we get other guys we won't need to worry about them. So we can stop lying to Rose. Exactly, she said proudly. Nice plan, Alice. I praised her. Thanks, now let's go to my house and get ready. We ran to my car and headed to Alice's house. Alice stopped moving. I scowled at her. I was putting the final touches on her. We decided to have team spirit for once, since it would attract the boys more. We dressed from head to toe in green, white, and yellow. Even our makeup wears school spirit colors. I was adding stripes of each color on Alice's little cheeks, just like she had on mine. Alright, the game is going to start in 20 minutes, let's get moving. Alice pleaded. It only took us 10 minutes to get to school, even though we walked. A lot of people were there. Who knew this school had so much spirit? Alice and I weren't the only ones whom had decided to go with school colors. Whoa, look at all the people who showed up. Alice shouted over the noise. I know. Come on, let's go before all the seats are taken. I shouted. I took Alice's hand and started walking towards the field, but we were already too late. All the seats were taken. Look, there's space near the bench over there. We can just stand there. Alice pointed out. We quickly made our way to the bench. Good idea, Alice. We can see everything perfectly. I praised her. Soon we heard roars of cheers coming from behind us. The Forks Knights came running out. Everyone cheered. They separated in half. One half made its way to the field. The other half made its way right next to us. Alice's eyes grew wide open. Amazing seats. I managed to spit out. Hey Alice, hey Bella, Tyler Crowley greeted us from the team bench, giving us a wink. Tyler was a quarterback for our team. Hey Bella, hey Alice, Jacob Black greeted after. Hi, Alice and I replied at the same time. Looks like you girls have school spirit. Jacob winked at me. I sighed. The game had already started, but we didn't even care. After about half an hour Jacob and Tyler were sent to the field to play. Alice and I had no idea what was going on. All we knew was that we were winning 11-9. Halftime, yes. After the coach was finished giving the guys a pep talk, Tyler and Jacob walked over to us. You guys are great, Alice chirped. Thanks cutie, Tyler said. Alice blushed at the comment. Yeah, you guys are amazing. The other team must be terrified of you guys. I told them. They should be, Jacob warned jokingly. I glanced over Alice and noticed she was hugging herself. It had gotten cold, and Alice was wearing nothing but a tank top. Apparently, I wasn't the only one who noticed. Tyler quickly ran towards the team bench, and came back with a jersey. Here Alice, I always carry an extra one, he said, handing her his jersey. Thanks, she said sheepishly and gave him a shy smile. He smiled back to her. Are you all right, Bella? Jacob asked me. I'm fine, I gave him a smile. There's going to be a party after this at the Burger Palace. You girls want to come with us? Jacob asked on behalf of himself and Tyler. Of course, I answered cheerfully. Great, Tyler said. Suddenly the buzzer started, stating that halftime was over. Well, we gotta go, see you later, Jacob said, making his way to the field. Good luck, Alice shouted. Tyler gave us a pick wave. We are so in, I told Alice once the game started. Oh yeah, she replied. We started screaming and jumping with joy. Happy dance, happy dance. Alice quickly started doing our happy dance. I soon started after her. Edwards P.O.V. Jasper and I decided that we would skip the rest of the school day. It was Friday and we didn't have any good classes. We went to the Burger Palace for the rest of the day. So what we gonna do tonight? Jasper asked me. I don't know. There's a football game tonight. We should go and make fun of those stupid losers in spandex. Jasper laughed. Want to? I asked. Why the hell not? We got nothing better to do. We still had about 5 hours before the game, so we went around town, talked to a couple of chicks, looked at a few cars and pretty much talked for the time waiting. Finally it was time to go to the game. Once we got there were many people. Come on, we should go and try to find seats, I told Jasper. We made our way to the seating area. To our surprise the whole sitting area was filled with fans from both teams. Come on, there's a spot over there, Jasper signaled. We quick. Kaylee ran to the other side of the field near the end, near a bench. Suddenly, we heard cheers and boos coming from every direction. We looked to our lefts and saw the rival team, the La Push Wild Dogs. Oh great, we get to sit with a bunch of stinky fags, Jasper mumbled. Whatever, I rolled my eyes. A couple minutes later the game started. Guys were tackling each other to the ground. Yawn. It was finally halftime. I looked across the field. I noticed two figures. Bella and Alice. I nudged Jasper. What? He snapped at me. Look. I pointed to where Alice and Bella were. Who they talking to? He asked me. Looks like Jacob Black and Tyler Crowley. I informed him. Why the hell would they be talking to those assholes? He roared. I could tell he was angry. Looks like they're doing more than just talking. Did Tyler just give Alice his jersey? Oh, that son of a bitch is so dead. Jasper became furious. He started stomping his way across the field, but I grabbed his shirt and pulled him back. Don't, I warned him. Why not? They're flirting with our girls, he exclaimed. They aren't our girls, I told him. Not yet, he muttered. The buzzer suddenly boomed through the field, telling us that halftime was now over. Jasper and I spent the rest of the game in silence. Rosalie's P.O.V. I didn't want to face Emmett again, so I decided to be brave and go and hang out with Jessica and her little posse. They greeted me cheerfully. Hey tent buddy, Jessica greeted, scooting closer to Taylor, giving me space to sit. Hey, I said, giving her a fake smile. We just talking about how superly duperly lucky we are to spend a whole week with all these hunky-dunky guys. She giggles. The rest of the girls giggled after. Yeah, we are so lucky, I said sarcastically. Oh come on Rosie, we all know you and Emmett have something special, she exclaimed. Rosie? We do not. Alright, whatever you say. She winked sarcastically at the other girls. I'm going to bed, I grumbled. Oh good idea. We need plenty of rest for our big adventures in the woods tomorrow. Night buddies, Jessica said, giving the other girls goodbye hugs. Once we got in our tent, we made ourselves comfortable. Sorta. Night tent buddy, she said before closing her eyes. I closed my eyes a couple minutes after. This was going to be the longest week ever. Bella's POV. After the final buzz of the game, everyone cheered as loud as they could. We won the game. Everyone started running to the field to congratulate the guys, including Alice and I. We ran over to Tyler and Jacob. Alice jumped into Tyler's open arms. She giggled as he twirled her around. Jacob held me tight in his arms. Great job out there, guys. I shouted over all the cheering. Thanks, Jacob shouted. Listen, we gotta go change before the party. You girls stay around here and we will be out in 10 minutes. Tyler told us, giving Alice a quick peck on the top of her head. Okay, she answered dreamily. The guys ran with the rest of their team to the change room. Oh, my God, Alice squealed. I know, I shouted. This is the best thing that has ever happened to us. She exclaimed. Most couldn't hear her because of all the noise. Come on, let's go closer to the changing room. We skipped our way to the changing room. Jasper's POV. It was nuts. The Forks Knights won and the whole field was covered with fans. What if Alice got hurt? Come on, let's go see if we can find the girls. I shouted to Edward. He nodded. We walked towards the crowd. This was going to be impossible. We pushed people out of our way. Bella, Alice, Edward and I shouted over the crowd. No luck. After 10 minutes of looking through the crowd, we finally spotted them. We tried pushing our way to them, but there were too many people. We noticed Tyler and Jacob come out of the changing rooms. They started talking to the girls. And then I saw something that angered me like there was no tomorrow. Tyler Crowley put his arm around my Alice. I noticed Jacob do the same with Bella. Alice, Bella, I shouted, but they didn't hear us. They started walking towards the parking lot, and in a matter of seconds they were gone. We have to find out where they're going. I told Edward, let's ask people if there's a party. Edward suggested, hey, Lauren, is there a party going on? I asked Lauren. She was a cheerleader. She must know. Totally, she exclaimed happily. Where? At the Burger Palace. "'Kay, thanks. Let's go, Edward. Are you boys going there? She asked us. Yeah, alright. I'll see you there. She winked at us. We rolled our eyes and ran to the parking lot. We jumped into my car. I stomped on the gas pedal. Bella's POV. Once we got to the Burger Palace, I noticed this was a bigger party than I thought it was. I let out a little gasp. You okay? Jake asked me, pulling me closer to his side. Yeah, I replied, smiling. Shall we go in? Yes, we shall. I laughed. The place was out of control. It had never been this full. Wanna dance? Jake asked. Totally. We ran to the dance floor and started dancing. I never thought Jacob Black was a nice guy. He always seemed like one of those jocks who are full of themselves. But I was wrong. I was also wrong about Tyler. I glanced at Alice and Tyler. They were dancing close and mouthing each other the words to the song. I smiled. Alice looked so happy. I then thought of the bad boys. Just this afternoon we were all over them. But now we found people that were better than them. We were never this happy with the bad boys. Maybe we should go out sometime. Jake suggested, snapping me back to reality. Totally. Alice's POV. Tyler and I danced and sang along to So Glad You're Mine by Elvis Presley. She said, I'm so glad I'm living. I sang. And I cried, I'm so glad you're mine. Tyler sang lifting me from the ground. We laughed and continued to dance. After the song was done, Tyler pulled me to the side and ordered us drinks. This is so much fun. I blurted. It wouldn't be a party without you. He said. I blushed. It's really warm in here. I remarked. Want to go outside for a bit? Sure. We walked outside. Air, he shouted once we were outside. I laughed. I'm having a lot of fun with you, Alice. He told me, wrapping his arms around me. Me too. You're still wearing my jersey. He laughed. It's cozy. I told him. Well, you know, only people who are dating football players are allowed wearing them. He whispered in my ear. So, I guess we are dating? I asked. Guess so. He leaned in and kissed me. I let out a little moan. He was such a good kisser. He pulled away and smiled. I smiled back at him. Hey guys, Jacob shouted. Bella was standing next to him. I noticed they were holding hands. Hey, I yawned. It was probably really late. Maybe we should bring you girls home. Tyler suggested. Good idea. I think Alice might fall asleep any second now. Bella joked. We slowly made our way to Tyler's car. Bella was sleeping over to my house tonight, so he drove to my house. Once we were there, they walked us to the door. "Thank you for being my wonderful date tonight," Tyler whispered in my ear. I let out a little giggle. "Thank you for your jersey." "You're quite welcome," he said before kissing me. I looked over to Jake and Bella. "Good night, Bella," I heard him whisper. He wasn't very good at that. He leaned in and gave Bella a kiss on the lips. We said our last goodbyes and ran up to my room. Once we closed the door to my room, we squealed like little 2-year-old. Edwards P.O.V. We were lucky that there weren't any police cars out tonight, because we would have gotten pulled over. Jasper was driving as fast as he could. When we got over to Burger Palace, the place was as full as the football field. Jasper and I moaned in horror. "Come on, let's go find them," I muttered. We opened the door, where we were surrounded by all of our classmates. We pushed our way through people. "Where the hell are those girls?" I wondered. "Do you see them?" I asked Jasper. "No," he sighed. We looked everywhere, still no luck. Soon after we gave up. "Let's go," Jasper whispered. We got out of Burger Palace and made our way home. What a crappy night. Rosalie's P.O.V. "Everybody up now," the coach told us. I moaned. How early was it? I checked my watch. 7:30 a.m. Why do we have to wake up so freaking early?" I shouted. "So we can have a super grand day," Jessica squealed. I rolled my eyes. We quickly got dressed, or at least tried to, since the tent was so small. Once we had finally managed to get dressed, we went to meet up with the group. I quickly glanced at Emmett and saw he was looking right at me with a huge smirk on his face. "Alright, today we are going to be going on a scavenger hunt. Instead of making you go with your tent partner, we will be mixing you guys up. You will be in a group of 2. Alright, teams will be Jessica and Eric, Taylor and Timmy, Emmett and Rosalie, John and Ashley." My eyes became wide when I heard Emmett and I were going to be partners. "Hey partner," he said, smiling. I glared at him. "Listen, I am going to break the rules just because I actually want to pass this class, got it?" I hissed at him. Of course. The coach gave us each a clue and everyone started running. "What's the clue?" I asked him. "Take 150 steps north and then take 20 steps west." He read off the paper. "But everyone else is going that way," I was confused. "Well, that's what it says on the paper, let's go." Emmett yielded. He took my hand and started pulling me. We counted our steps, and 20. I sighed. We were finally here. I tried looking for the clue. "I don't see a clue. Maybe we only took 10 steps, let's take 10 more," he instructed. We took 10 more steps. When we got there, we found ourselves in front of a swamp. "Emmett, where the hell are we?" "I don't know. Give me the clue," I snapped. He slowly handed me the paper. I snatched it from his hand. "Go south 20 steps, 1060 steps east." I read the paper. I looked up at him. "You gave us the wrong directions," I shouted. "How could you? What the hell is wrong with you? How the fuck are we going to make our way back?" What if I was cut off from my rant by a pair of lips crushing on mine? I closed my eyes. This was so wrong, I told myself. But I soon found myself kissing Emmett back. I grabbed his hair. He took his lips away from mine and started kissing my neck. "I hate you," I panted, still grabbing his hair. "I love you too," he whispered between kisses. "We have to find our way back," I told him in all seriousness. He brought his face to mine. "What's the rush?" he asked. "Once they find out we are gone, they're going to look for us. We should at least try to look for them." He sighed. "Alright, let's go." He took my hand and we started walking. "By the way, you cannot tell the Blue Babes about what just happened, got it?" I warned him. "Got it," he said, kissing my hand. Bella's P.O.V. I woke up with a smile on my face. Last night was amazing. I got up and noticed also had a smile on her face. "That was amazing, Tyler," she said in her sleep. I tried to hold my laughter, but it was hard. I slowly bent down next to her. "I know it was, cutie," I said, trying to sound like Tyler. She automatically woke up. "Oh, good morning, Bella," she muttered. "Morning," I laughed. "Come on, let's go downstairs, I'm starving," she said, getting up. We went downstairs into the kitchen. Alice noticed a note on the fridge. "Dear Alice and Bella, we went out for the day, see you later tonight. Love, Mom and Dad." Alice read. I loved Alice's parents, they treated me like I was their daughter. "Whatever," she sighed. She opened the fridge door, searching for something to eat. Suddenly the phone rang. "I'll get it, you search," she instructed. She walked over to the phone, as I walked over to the open fridge. "Hello," I heard her answer. "Oh, hi Tyler. Hey Jacob. Here, let me put you on speaker." Alice quickly put them on speaker. "Hello," She checked if it worked. Hello, Jacob and Tyler answered. Hey guys, I shouted. What's up with you girls? Jake asked. Looking for something to eat, you? I asked. Nothing, just chilling, Tyler said. Cool, yep. You guys busy today? Alice asked. Yeah, the coach is taking us out for the day. But maybe we can hang tonight, Jake said. Sure, I answered. Awesome, we will call you tonight. We gotta go. Bye Alice. Love you. Bye Bella, Tyler said. Bye Bella. Love ya. Later Alice. Jake said. Bye, Alice and I shouted together. They soon hung up. So what are we going to do till then? Alice asked. Want to go to the Burger Palace for breakfast? I asked. There was no food in the house. Sure, after we got ready, we walked over to the Burger Palace. Surprisingly, it wasn't totally trashed from last night's after party. We took a couple of menus and sat down at a table. As Alice and I were looking through the menu, we heard the door slam open. We both jumped in shock. Jasper and Edward walked in. Boy, they look mad. Alice mused. I wonder why. I think we are about to find out. Jasper and Edward walked over to our table. Hey guys, I greeted them. Alice smiled. Hi, Jasper said in a hushed tone. Edward just nodded. Is something wrong? Alice asked. What were you girls doing with Tyler Crowley and Jacob Black? Jasper asked. We were just talking to them about the game. I said. That's why Tyler gave Alice his jersey, Jasper almost shouted. What's wrong with that? I was cold. Alice defended herself. And let me ask you this, Alice, did you sleep in that jersey last night? Jasper whispered. He bent down to Alice. Alice didn't reply. That's what I thought. He rolled his eyes. What the hell is wrong with you, Jasper? It's not like we were dating or anything. She hissed at him. She got up. We might as well have been, Alice. He hissed back. We aren't even supposed to be talking to you guys. I stepped in. Exactly. Alice helped. So you go after those spandex-wearing fags? Edward asked. Just because they aren't you doesn't mean they're fags, Edward. I told him. So you're saying we're jealous? Jasper asked, sounding like he could punch me. Yes, we are, Alice said. Before the guys could say anything, Alice grabbed my hand and stormed out. One sec, she told me. She opened the door and poked her head in. You can forget about me helping you get back at your girlfriend. Jasper, she shouted and came back. We walked back to her house. Bella's POV. After the whole Burger Palace fiasco, Alice and I walked around town. I was mad. I mean, it's like they thought we were dating. Yeah, right. I glanced at Alice. She looked a little sad. No one ever shouted at her like Jasper just had. It's okay, Alice. I broke the silence. She looked up at me. Yeah, was all she said. She added a little smile. Come on, Alice. We don't need those guys. We have Jacob and Tyler. They're so much better. I said, trying to perk her up. Apparently, it worked. You're right. Those guys are a bunch of ass cracks. She exclaimed. Exactly, I shouted. We both laughed. Let's go back to my house and get ready for tonight. Before I had a chance to answer, Alice pulled me and started running towards her house. After hours of washing our hair, drying it, fixing it, putting on makeup, trying on about 1,000,000 outfits, Alice and I were finally ready. Alice straightened her hair and pulled her bangs back, making a little bump. She had very little makeup on. As for her outfit, she wore a black shirt, blank capri pants and her blue babes jacket. I curled my hair and put some makeup on. For my outfit I put a zebra patterned shirt, a pair of black jeans and my blue babes jacket. We both decided to wear white flats with our outfits. The phone rang. Alice ran to it. Hello? Alice answered. Hey Tyler, sure we would love to. Yeah, we are ready. In 5 minutes? Okay, see you soon. Alice hung up. They are picking us up in give minutes? I asked for confirmation. Yep, she answered. 5 minutes later the doorbell rang. I'll get it. I ran over to the door. When I opened it, Jacob and Tyler stood at the door. Hey Bella, they both said. Hi, I greeted. I got out of the way, letting them in. When Jake came in he leaned forward and kissed me. Where's Alice? Tyler asked. Here, she shouted. She ran down the stairs and gave Tyler a hug and a kiss. All right, you guys want to go? Jake asked. Where are we going? Alice wondered. Well, there's a concert at the park, and we thought maybe we would go there. Tyler answered, pulling Alice to his side. Sounds good. We headed out the door and started walking to the park. Jake and I walked in front of Alice and Tyler. I heard Alice giggle behind me. I turned my head around and saw Tyler kissing Alice's little hands and mumbling something. I smiled and turned my head back. You look amazing tonight, Jake complimented. Thanks, you look good yourself. I told him, giving him a peck on the cheek. We talked about the football game for the rest of the walk to the park. Once we got there, there was a little crowd. A lot less people than the party. We found a spot easily. Who's playing tonight? Alice asked. Some random band, Tyler answered, wrapping his arms around Alice's little frame and leaning in to kiss her cheek. The show soon started after we got there. A Elvis wannabe started to sing. He wasn't that bad. Jake pulled me closer and started rocking from side to side. I glanced at Alice and Tyler and noticed they were doing the same thing. Alice's POV. Tyler and I rocked from side to side. This felt great. I was so happy with Tyler. He was so nice and just amazing. I looked up to him, he looked down. We stared into each other's eyes, he leaned down and kissed me. Our lips moved together like one. I love you, he whispered. I was shocked. I looked up at him. Love? I liked Tyler, but loved? I have to go to the bathroom. I quickly said. Want me to help you find it? He asked. No, it's fine. I smiled. I quickly walked away. I heard Bella ask Tyler where I was going, and him telling her I was going to the bathroom. The truth was I didn't need to go to the bathroom. I just needed time to think. I walked over to the bathroom area and leaned against the wall. I let out a loud sigh. Tough night? I heard a voice ask. I knew exactly whose voice that belonged to. Leave me alone, Jasper. I'm not in the mood. I told him. He walked out of the shadow and stepped in front of me. What's wrong? He asked me. What's it to you? I snapped. Well, I care about you, he said shyly. Wait, was Jasper actually shy? It's Tyler, I finally said. Did he hurt you? He asked concerned. No, nothing like that, he just said he loved me. I whispered the last part. Oh, so what's the problem? I don't know if I love him, I admitted. Oh well, why don't you just say I love you too? Because I love you, I heard myself say. Did I just say that? You do? He asked slowly. Yes. Damn, why am I saying this? Oh right. 'Cause it's true. I love you too, he whispered. Before I could say anything, his lips met mine. It was full of passion. Bella's POV. I was starting to get worried. Alice has been gone for more than 10 minutes. I'm going to go look for Alice. I told the guys, they nodded. I walked over to the bathroom area. Once I got there, no one was there. I walked in, no one. Where did that pixie go? I asked myself. I looked everywhere. No Alice. I walked back to the guys. Did you find her? Tyler asked. No, I sighed. I'm sure she's safe. Maybe she was sick and went home. Jake reassured. You're right, I told him. We watched the rest of the concert. Once it was over, we walked over to my house. Good night, Jacob said, kissing me one last time before he left. Bye, I smiled. I walked into my house, still wondering where little Alice was. Alice's POV. The sun shone on my face, telling me that it was the beginning of a brand new day. I slowly opened my eyes, but I was still not ready to wake up, so I turned myself to the other side. I saw a figure lying next to me. My eyes opened wide with shock. Rapist. Mom. Dad, there's ARA. I started to shout, but a hand quickly covered my mouth. Alice. It's me, Jasper. He told me. Jasper, what are you doing here? I asked, calming down. I slept over. He laughed. I felt his arms wrap around me and bring me closer. I buried my face into his bare chest. Wait, Bear? Jasper, did we have sex? I asked him. No, I wanted to, but you fell asleep before we got a chance to. He said, laughing. Oh, was all I said. We cuddled together for a while. Now this felt right. Emmett's POV. Yes, I finally got Rosalie. She was all mine. What way should we go? I asked her. Well, we came here through that way, so maybe we should go that way. She answered. We started walking to the direction she was pointing at. Rosalie kept directing us. Still no luck. We've been walking for hours. I mused. It's starting to get dark, maybe we should stop walking, she said. I noticed she had goosebumps on her arms. You cold, babe? I asked her. She nodded. I walked over and wrapped her into a big hug. Do you think they will find us? She asked me, kissing my shirt. Yeah, eventually, I joked. She didn't find it funny. Relax, Rose. They will find us. I reassured her, burying my face into her hair. What do you have in that backpack? I asked her. I only noticed it now. Oh, just some random stuff. Wait, I think I have a sleeping bag. She quickly dropped the bag on the ground and opened it. She pulled out a sleeping bag. We can sleep in it, she suggested. Sure, I replied. Score. Alice's POV. I looked over to my clock. It was noon. Jasper and I were still cuddling in bed. I love you, he whispered, playing with my fingers. I love you too, I whispered back. He leaned in and gave me a kiss. Suddenly my phone rang. I groaned and lifted myself over Jasper. Hello, I answered. Alice? I heard Bella's voice on the other line. Oh, hi Bella, what's up? I asked. What's up? More like where the hell did you go last night? She shouted. I sighed. I felt sick, so I went home. I made up. Why didn't you come tell us? She asked. I couldn't find you guys? I said. It sounded like a question. You're going to have to talk to Tyler. He was worried about you. She told me. He did. I trailed off. What was wrong with me? Questions came out as answered and answered came out as questions. I shivered, as I felt Jasper's hands sneak their way under my tank top. I slapped his hand away. He laughed. Is someone with you? Bella asked. No, why would you ask? I asked her. I heard someone laugh. Oh, that was my, dad. I told her. I hit Jasper again. Alright, well, do you want to hang out later? Sure. I will call you once I'm ready. Alright, later. Bye, I said before hanging up. I glared at Jasper. You almost blew it, I told him, still glaring. I'm sorry, he apologized, pulling me back to his chest. You're forgiven, I muttered. I have to get ready, I said, sitting up. Oh no, ya don't, Jasper said, sliding his arms around my waist, trying to pull me back. I slipped myself out of his arms. Yes, I do, and you need to go, I told him. Why? Jasper asked. Well, firstly, I have to shower, I said. I was about you continued before he interrupted me. So do I, he winked. I rolled my eyes. Typical. Secondly, if my parents find out you're in here, they are going to send me to Alaska. Quote. Fine. Where do I leave? He asked, getting out of my bed. You can get out from the window? I suggested. If I kill myself, it's your fault. He joked. We walked over to the window. I'll call you later, he said before giving me a goodbye kiss. Bye. He opened the window and slowly made his way down. Lucky him, my dad left the ladder next to my window. Now it was time to get ready. Rosalie's P.O.V. I woke up from the wind blowing right into my face. I turned back into Emmett's chest. Damn, did he work out? Morning, he whispered. Hi, was all I could say. What are we going to do now? Emmett asked, looking at my chest. Now? Well, you can look at me in the eyes. I snapped at him. He immediately looked at me in the eyes. Good, we should go look for the group. I have a better idea. We stay here and have a little fun. He whispered, slipping his hands under my shirt. What the hell is wrong with you, Emmett? We are lost in a freaking forest. We should be out looking for people, not having sex. I snapped at his. What's his deal with sex? But they will find us, Rose. So we should stay here and get cozy. He said, checking me out. You know what, Emmett? I can't stand you. I'm leaving and don't even think of following me. I shouted. I got up, picked up my backpack and stomped away from Emmett. It felt like forever since I had seen someone. Hello? I shouted. Rosalie? I heard Jessica's voice shout back. Jessica? I ran to the direction where I heard Jessica. Rosalie, she yelled once she saw me. She ran up to me and gave me a big hug. Thank God we found you. She panted. Thank you so much. I thought I lost you guys forever. I said. I had never been so happy to see Jess. Come on, we gotta get back to camp, Jessica told me, hooking her arm through mine. Did you guys find Emmett? I asked flatly. Yeah, he made his way back to camp hours ago. She told me. What? I asked, stunned. He came back at like noon. She answered matter-of-factly. What time is it now? I almost shouted. 7:30, she replied, looking at her watch. That son of a bye, I started. Ding dong. You shouldn't swear, Rosalie, it's not classy. Jessica told me. Right. We made our way back to camp. Rosalie, everyone shouted, running to me. Are you okay? Taylor asked me. Taylor was always nice. Yeah, I guess. Where's Emmett? I asked. He's getting some dinner, Taylor replied. Thanks, I said, walking towards the dinner area. Once I got there, Emmett was stuffing his face. I hate you, I told him, glaring at him. Why? He asked. You knew where we were all fucking long. I shouted. Did not. He defended himself. So how did you make your way to camp so fast? I hissed at him. I have a good sense of direction? Screw you, Emmett. I am never talking to you again, I said, leaving him. Oh sure, was the last thing I read coming from Emmett's mouth. Bella's P.O.V. At around 2 o'clock, Alice came over to my house. We were in my room chit-chatting about random stuff. I think I'm going to dump Tyler. Alice mused. What? Why? I asked, stunned. She was daydreaming about him the other day. I've lost my feelings for him. She told me, but, you've only been dating for like, 2 days. I know, but I just don't like him. In fact, I'm going to call him right now, she said, picking up my phone. I snatched it away from her hand. Hey, she scowled. Alice, give him a chance. It's been 2 days, I told her. Bella, I don't like him anymore. She shouted. Why? Because I love Jasper. I looked at her, stunned. I love Jasper, okay? I didn't leave because I didn't feel well. It's because I met up with Jasper, and we ended up telling each other our feelings. She blurted. I looked at her. We were silent for what seemed like forever. So you really like him? I asked quietly. Yes, she whispered. Well, there's nothing we can do about that, I said, handing her the phone. She gave me a thanking look. I smiled. She quickly dialed Tyler's number. Hello, may I speak to Tyler, please? Thank you. We waited. Hey Tyler, I'm good. Yeah, I was feeling sick, so I went home. Sorry I didn't tell you. Why did I call? Oh I just wanted to tell you why I left. Yeah, oh okay. Bye. She hung up. You didn't tell him, I stated. I couldn't. She groaned. Alice, you are going to have to do it sooner or later. I told her. I choose later. She laughed. I soon joined her in laughter. What to go to the Burger Palace for dinner tonight? She asked me. It's a date, I joked. In the words of the Bad Boys, sweet, we both laughed again. At around 7:30, Alice and I walked over to the Burger Palace. Obviously, there was a party going on. Since the place was crowded. Someone's having a party, Alice mumbled. That's for sure, I said. We walked inside. We looked around, trying to find a place to sit. Hey, isn't that Tyler? I nudged Alice. She looked over to where I was staring. Her eyes grew wide. Tyler was making out with Angela, and next to him, Jacob and Lauren were doing the same thing. My eyes started to water. I have to get out of here, I told Alice. Meet me outside, okay? She told me. I walked outside and took deep breaths. Alice was probably yelling at the boys at this very moment. She soon stormed out. We are officially broken up with those boys, she muttered, grabbing my arm. Alice walked me home. I ran up to my room and started bawling my eyes out. I suddenly heard a thud on my window. I walked up to it. Edward. A smile immediately came on my face. I opened my window. What are you doing here? This brought me back to when Edward had first done this. I saw what happened at the Burger Palace. Want to talk about it? He asked me. I'll be down in a sec, I said. I quickly got a sweater and ran downstairs. Going for a walk, be back later, I told my parents. I ran out the door. Hi, I said finally once I got to him. Hey, he replied. We started walking. So, how are you? He asked. I've been better, I said. Want to talk about it? He asked. Again. My eyes stared to tear up, again. I can't believe he did this to me. I gasped. I was bawling. I felt Edward pulling me into a hug. He started playing with my hair. It will be okay, Bella. He was just a mistake, he whispered, pressing his lips on my forehead. I nodded. You can do better than him, he continued. I sighed. I guess, I finally said. Trust me, he promised. God, he was perfect. I suddenly had to have him. I couldn't do it anymore. I couldn't pretend to not like him. I loved him. He was my Romeo. He lifted my chin, bringing my face closer to him. He slowly leaned down towards me, but he wasn't fast enough. I smashed my lips to his. Our kiss was full of passion. Sure, we had already kissed, but this felt much better. We kissed for what seemed like forever. We slowly leaned away from each other, but still close. I love you, Bella, he whispered. You don't know how much. I love you too, Edward. I whispered back. Rosalie's P.O.V. The rest of the week went by quickly. I didn't talk to Emmett. Finally, it was time to go home. It was about 9:30 p.m. when we finally got home. Alice and Bella were waiting for me. Rosalie, I heard Alice's pixie voice scream, and soon her little body was pressed against mine. Alice, I laughed. Rose, Bella exclaimed, giving me a hug. Bella, oh my God, I've missed you guys so much. How was your week? I asked them. It was interesting, Alice said. How? I wondered. Oh, just a lot of random stuff. Enough about us. How about you? Bella asked, changing the subject. Horrible, I told them. Why? Emmett, was all I needed to say. Alice and Bella nodded, knowing what I meant. What did he do? Alice asked. I don't want to talk about it now. Maybe later, I told her. We understand. Want to go home? Bella asked me. Sure. Can we grab a burger though? I'm so hungry for real food. I told them. Starting to walk to the Burger Palace, I heard them laugh and soon they were at my side. Once we got there, the place was calm, not many people were there. Whoa, this is a first. Alice mumbled. What do you mean? I asked. This place has been busy. Bella explained. Oh, Bella, Alice, I heard a voice shout behind us. I turned around and saw Tyler Crowley and Jacob Black making their way towards us. Oh great, Alice said under her breath. Since when do you guys talk to them? I asked, laughing. We went out with them for like 3 days, and then it was over. Bella informed me. Why? I began laughing even more. They seemed nice, until they cheated on us. Alice said. Bella, Alice, we are so sorry, Tyler said. You cheated? I pipped in. Yes, Jacob said in shame. With who? I asked. Angela and Lauren. This made me laugh. You guys cheated on Bella and Alice for those bra staffers? Whoa, you guys are idiots. Well, not that it's a surprise. I mean look at you two. Not really attractive and stupid. No surprise you go for the same type. I told them. The guy's mouth dropped. Chances are you guys stuff your pants. Ahaha. Have fun, I said, grabbing Alice and Bella's hands and walking to a table. And that is why I missed having you around, Rosalie. Alice laughed. It's good to be back, I said, pleased with my return. Emmett's P.O.V. Finally, it was time to go back home. With real food. Once I got off the bus, the only thing that came to my mind was food. Emmett, I heard Jasper and Edward shout. I soon saw them emerge from the shadow. Hey ass cracks, looks like you guys didn't change. I laughed. Shut up, Jasper said, handing me a cigarette. Thanks, haven't had one of these all fucking week, I said, lighting it up. How was camping? Edward asked. Almost worth it. I almost got Rosalie in bed. Except she didn't want to do it. Damn, she's snippy, I told them. Well, there's a shocker. No offense, Emmett, but if you and Rosalie in sex, you'd squish her. Jasper laughed. I think you're mistaking her for Alice Budd, which by the way, is great in bed. I shot back. Fuck you, Jasper said. Edward had to keep Jasper from coming to hit me. Bring it, I hissed. Guys, cool it. Emmett just got here. We should be celebrating, not killing each other. Edward sighed. You're right. Sorry man. I apologized. Yeah, me too, Jasper said, slapping me a high five. Let's go to the Burger Palace. I'm starving. Well, there's a surprise. Edward laughed. We walked over to the Burger Palace. Once we walked in, I noticed nothing had changed. It was still the same old Burger Palace. I heard a round of laughter. I turned my head to see whom had just laughed. And it was none other than the Blue Babes. I started walking over to them. Ladies, I said, once I got to their table. What do you want? Rosalie snapped, turning her head towards me. Just saying hello, Alice, Bella, looking good. I winked at them. I felt Edward and Jasper stiffen behind me. Go away, Emmett, she growled. Aren't you breaking the boy fast rules? I said matter-of-factly. No, I'm not, Rosalie said, standing up. Yes, you are, I said, only to get you to get the hell away from us. She growled. Emmett, let's just get our burgers and go. Edward stepped in. I agree, Rosalie said. Whatever, I said. We got our burgers and left. Alice's P.O.V. The rest of our time at the Burger Palace, we ate in silence. We then decided to go home. Bye, I said, walking into my house. I walked up to my room and got changed. Once I got out of my bathroom, I noticed something moving in my bed. I slowly crept up to it. Quickly, I took off the covers. Boo, Jasper whispered. I jumped. What the hell, Jasper? I hissed at him. Now what do you want? He got up from my bed and walked over to the window, where he picked up a can of spray paint and paint. What's that for? I asked. The prank, he said matter-of-factly. Huh? I was confused. Remember, the prank on Mrs. Ryden? We were supposed to do it last weekend, but then you got a boyfriend. He said. Yeah, well, I thought we would do it tonight. He told me, and you couldn't tell me this earlier? I snapped. I'm sorry, babe, he said, walking over to me and giving me a quick kiss. Fine, I mumbled. That's my Alice. He smiled. Let's go before I change my mind. I said. I'll meet you outside. I told him. Okay. He got out my window. I quickly ran downstairs. Where are you going, honey? My mother asked me. For a walk, I said simply. All right, she said before I closed the door. Once I was outside, my arms were covered with goosebumps. Cold? Jasper laughed, as I made my way to his car. Let's just go, I said, jumping to his car. Since when do you have a car? I asked him, once we started making our way to Mrs. Ryden's house. I took Edward's dad's car. He said. Oh, bad boy, I teased. That's what they call me. He said, taking his eyes off the road for a second, giving me a wink. After a 20-minute drive, we finally arrived at her house. Are you sure about this? I asked Jasper, as he helped me get out of the car. Don't worry, we won't get caught. He reassured me. For your sake, you better be right. I threatened. He laughed and took my hand. All right, let's start painting this thing. He whispered. We both started painting the car. Jasper had picked the worst brown in the world. Once we were finished painting the car, it looked like someone had crapped all over it. Now for the finally touch. Jasper was now spray painting Thunder Thighs in a bright red color. I couldn't help but to laugh. There, now let's get the hell out of here, he said, grabbing my hand. We started running towards Jasper's car, which he had parked a couple houses down from Mrs. Ryden's. Once we were in the car, we started laughing. I cannot believe we just did that. I laughed. I know, he laughed. I think you've officially driven me crazy. I said. That's all right, he said, leaning into me, planting his lips on mine. We should probably go back home, I said, breaking the kiss. All right, he sounded a little disappointed. We drove to my house, chatting about how mad Mrs. Ryden was going to be. Once EU got to my house, he walked me to my door. I actually had fun tonight, I admitted, once we got to my door. Told you it would be fun. He chuckled. Thanks, I said. For what? He asked. For taking me out, I replied. You're welcome, he said, leaning in and pressing his lips to mine. Rosalie's P.O.V. Since I was in such a horrible mood, I decided to go for a walk. Those tend to calm me. It was a beautiful night. The air was fresh, the moon was shining and the stars were out. It felt as if it was summer. I can't believe Emmett. What is his deal? Does he live to make my life a living hell? I mean, all he ever does is annoy me. Either he's trying to have sex with me, or embarrassing me. It wasn't fair. People at school say he's in love with me. Yeah, right. If he was in love with me, would he be trying to make my life a living hell? No, he can be such a guy. But why I am so in love with him? That was the question. I can't stand him. But why is it that every time he's around me, I get shivers, whenever he talked to me? I feel warm inside. No one else made me feel this way. There was something about that bad boy that made me feel happy. But why him? He was so amazing. I walked around my block, thinking of all of this. Why him? Soon I was in front of Alice's house. I noticed a car in front of it. Did they get a new car? I looked up at the front door, where stood Alice Brandon and Jasper Whitlock kissing. Alice? I shouted. Alice's P.O.V. Alice? I heard Rosalie's voice shout. I immediately stopped kissing Jasper. I turned my head towards her. I started walking towards her. Hi, Rose, I stuttered. Bella's house. Now, she said, eyeing me. I turned back to Jasper, who was watching us from my door. I started walking towards Bella's house, Rosalie close behind me. We knocked at Bella's door. Hello, oh hi Rose, Alice. She greeted us. Boy fast meeting. Now, Rose responded. We walked into Bella's house and went to her room. What's this about Rosalie? Bella asked. I was walking around the neighborhood, when I caught Alice and Jasper kissing. She informed Bella. Bella stiffened. Oh really? She asked. Yes really, Alice, and broken a rule. Which means, as much as we love you Alice, you are out of the blue babes. Rosalie stated. What? I shouted. We wrote it down, Alice. You broke the rules, you're out. You can bring us your jacket on Monday. You're excused, Rosalie said. I opened my mouth to defend myself, but Rosalie glared at me. Fine, was all I said before leaving. Tears started to form in my eyes. I hope Jasper's home, I thought. I ran over to my house. Once I got in, I ran up into my room. When I opened my door, I quickly looked over to my bed. It was bumpy. I closed my door. Jasper? I whimpered. He quickly lifted the sheets off himself. Alice, what's wrong? He asked. I fell on my bed. Rosalie, kicked me out of the blue babes. I managed to say. Oh Alice, I'm so sorry, he said, pulling me into a hug. Tears started falling. How could she? I mean, really? She's going to stop being my friend just because I love you? I ranted. I'm sorry Alice, this is all my fault. He said sadly. No, it's not. If Rosalie was a good friend, she would have understood, right? Right, he said. Thanks for listening Jasper. I thanked him, giving him a peck. Anytime. Can you stay the night? I asked him. Of course, he answered. I smiled. He lifted my chin up and pressed his lips on mine. Bella's POV. After Alice had left, Rosalie soon left after. I sighed in my room. Why didn't I say anything? Why didn't Alice say anything about Edward and I? Why am I such a terrible friend? I needed to talk to Edward. His house isn't too far from mine. I quickly got a jacket and started to walk to Edward's house. Once I got to his house, I didn't know which room was his, until I saw him, half naked. I closed my eyes. I bent down and found a little rock. I threw it at his window. Soon he opened it. Bella? He laughed. Can I come in? I asked him, my eyes still closed. Yes, I will come open the door. Why are your eyes closed? He asked me. You're half naked, and I thought you might want some privacy. I told him. Right. He laughed. I waited for him to open the door. He soon ushered me in. Want your parents mind that I'm here? I asked. They aren't home. He told me. Oh. We walked up to his room. Once we walked in, I noticed his room was a total pigsty. This is nice, I said. I haven't cleaned it in a while. He told me. So, what's up? We just had a boy-fast meeting. Rosalie didn't find out about us. Did she? He asked, concerned. Not us. Alice and Jasper. I told him. What happened? She kicked Alice out of the Blue Babes. I sighed. No way, he said. Yep. Oh my God, I'm such a terrible friend. I shouted and fell on his bed. Why? He asked, sitting next to me. Because I didn't defend Alice. Alice didn't even say anything about us. I exclaimed. Should you tell Rosalie? He asked. I should, but I'm scared. Why? She would kick me out of the Blue Babes. But if you tell her, she will be only one felt. Maybe she will stop boyfast and you guys can all be friends again. He had a point. I guess so. Just talk to her about it. He suggested. Thanks, Edward, I said, giving him a kiss. You're quite welcome. He smiled. I should get going, I said, getting up. All right, he said, walking me downstairs into the door. Bye, I said. Goodbye, he said, giving me a last kiss goodnight. Alice's POV. I woke up the next morning next to Jasper. He was already awake. He was looking at me. What? I giggled. You're beautiful when you sleep. He whispered. I blushed. I was so happy. Last night was the night I lost my virginity. And this morning I woke up next to the love of my life. Thank you, I said. I love you. I love you too, but sadly, I have to go. He said, getting out of my bed. Damn, he had a nice ass. Why? I asked, sitting up, but covering myself. I have to go hang out with the guys. He told me, picking up his clothes from the floor. Oh, I'll call you later, he said, once we was done getting dressed. He walked up to me, gave me a quick kiss, and headed out the window. The rest of the weekend went by uneventfully, and then came Monday morning. I quickly got ready for school and walked there. I noticed Bella and Rosalie perched on Rosalie's car. I slowly walked up them. Here, I said, handing Rosalie my Blue Babes jacket. She just looked at me. Bye, I said, walking away. I suddenly felt a hand on my shoulder. Hello, Jasper greeted me, giving me a quick peck. Hi, I sighed. She's not worth it, he whispered in my ear. I know, I sighed. Rosalie's POV. I looked at Alice with shame. How could she do this to us? I mean, if Bella and I could keep true to the boyfast, couldn't Alice? Then it struck me, was I being fair? I mean, I had broken the boyfast rule during the camping trip. But no one knows about it. So maybe I can pretend it never happened. Yeah, let's go in, I told Bella. Soon the bell rang. Bella and I went our separate ways. Bella's POV. I walked into the changing room, where Alice was. Hi, I said once I got to her. Hi, she said, smiling. Alice, I'm so sorry. I said. Why? She asked. I didn't say anything about Edward and I. Don't worry about it, Bella. She reassured me. I think I might tell Rosalie. I mused. No, don't, Alice blurted. Why not? I asked her. Because, you'll get kicked out of the Blue Babes. Yeah, but I can let you be alone. I said. Bella, don't worry about me. We can still hang out. Just stay with Rosalie, or else she will have no one. Just be careful with Edward. She warned. Thanks, Alice. You're the best. I smiled at her. Anytime, sweet thing. She joked. For gym class, we had to go into the weight room and exercises. But Alice and I just sat there and talked. At lunch, Rosalie and I sat alone and talked about random stuff. My mother thinks I need to focus more on my study, Rosalie was saying, but I wasn't paying attention. I was too busy thinking about Alice and Edward. Bella, what are you thinking about? Rosalie asked. I looked at her. We need to talk. So talk, she said. I like your shoes. Damn it, Bella. Thanks, she laughed. You're welcome, I said, sinking into my chair. Rosalie's POV. I spent the rest of the day in the girls' bathroom. I didn't want to go to any of my other classes. After the last bell I met up with Bella at her locker. Hey, wanna go to the roller rink? I asked her. I have to go home and help my mom clean up. We have guests coming this weekend. Bella told me. Alright, I said bye to her. I still wanted to go skating, so I went by myself. Or so I thought. Once I got there, I put on a pair of roller skates and started skating. As I was skating, someone tripped right in front of me, which caused me to stumble, but before I fell, a pair of strong arms wrapped themselves around my waist. Thanks, I said. I turned around. Emmett, anytime. He winked at me. Are you following me? I snapped at him. I looked into his eyes. Fuck, he was hot. No, but you're lucky I'm here, or else you would have hurt yourself. He smirked. Thanks, I said again. Mind if I join you? No, I heard myself say, but before I could change my mind, Emmett took my hand and started skating. I didn't fight. I didn't want to. This was too good. After 20 minutes of skating, Emmett and I stepped off. He started leading me to this room. Where are we going? I asked, giggling. Someone, he said seductively. He opened the door and led me in. I couldn't see anything because it was too dark. Suddenly the light came on. We were in a closet. Why are we in a closet? I asked him. To have some privacy, he said, and that's what set me off. I got on my tiptoes and smashed my lips onto his. He soon started to kiss me back. The kissing soon became to making out, and making out to something else. Suddenly the door opened. I know. Oh my, I heard Bella's voice. Bella? I shouted. I hid myself behind Emmett. Yes? She said. What are you doing here? I snapped. I came to see you. I finished cleaning up early. I'm sorry, I will leave. She said. You alright, Bella? I heard Edward's voice. Edward? I asked. Oh, Rosalie. Emmett. Edward stuttered. Awkward. Emmett said. So I guess we broke the boy fast. Bella said. One sec. I closed the door. Emmett and I quickly got dressed. Then we came out. Now what? Bella said. We find Alice. I said. We quickly ran out of the rolling alley and drove to Alice's house. I knocked on the door. Hello? Alice said. She had a confused look on her face once she saw all of us. Alice, we need to talk. I said. Come in, everyone. She smiled. We all sat down in her living room, and explained everything. So, does that mean the Blue Babes and the Boy Fast are done? Alice asked. The Boy Fast is done, but the Blue Babes don't have to be. I said. Okay, Alice chirped. I smiled and looked over to Bella, who was smiling. This is heartwarming, Bella said. Where's Jasper? Emmett asked. Detention. Alice laughed. Nice. We all sat there and chatted. Emmett put his arm around me. I looked up at him and smiled. This year is going to be great. Bella's POV. It had been a week since the Boy Fast had officially ended. Edward and I finally hooked up, as well as Emmett and Rosalie. And Jasper and Alice were still going strong. It was now Friday night. The girls and I were in my room, dancing to our favorite song. It was girls' night. When we started going out with the guys, we knew we would be seeing them a lot. And that it wouldn't be just us girls a lot. So we decided to dedicate one night to us girls, no guys allowed. On this night, we would watch movies, dance, sing, gossip. And pretty much every girl thing we did before. After the song was done, we all collapsed on my bed. This is so much fun. Alice squealed. Just like old times. Rosalie mused. We all sighed in joy. Ring ring. I quickly got up from my bed and answered the phone. Hello? Hey, Bella? I heard a deep voice say. It didn't sound like Edward, nor Jasper, not even Emmett. And then it hit me. Jacob. Jacob, why did you call? I asked, my voice uneasy. I wanted to apologize, and so did Tyler. He tried calling Alice, but there was no answer at her house. In fact, he's with me right now. Is Alice there? He informed me. That's nice. I muttered. I looked over to Alice. I could tell by the look on her face that she did not want to talk to Tyler. No, Alice is not here. Oh yeah, I guess I'm sorry. And so is Tyler. He said again. I opened my mouth to say something, but soon realized the phone had been taken away from my hand. Jacob, Bella doesn't want to hear your shit, okay? So, stop calling or else we are going to have to call the police. Bye, Rosalie said into the phone. She hung up, without giving Jacob a chance to respond. I smirked at Rosalie. Nice Rose. I laughed. I know, she said, looking back at her magazine. What did he want? Alice asked, as if she didn't already know. He wanted to say sorry. Tyler apparently called your house, but no answer. And he was also there, he wanted to talk to you. But I said you weren't here. I told her. Oh thanks. Alice replied, smiling at me. I smiled back. Can we please stop talking about those fag bags and have some fun? Rosalie shouted. What do you want to do? I asked her. Rosalie lied on my bed, thinking about something. Suddenly she sat up. Let's TP Tyler and Jacob's house. Rose, that is such a good idea. Alice praised. I'm not sure, I stuttered. Why not? It will be fun. Come on Bella. You need to let loose a little, have fun. I sat and thought about it. Maybe Rose was right, I did need to have a little more fun. Alright, let's get the toilet paper and go, I said. Alice squealed and ran to my bathroom, getting as much toilet paper as she could. Rosalie ran into my hallway, taking toilet paper from the main bathroom. We quickly put all the paper in 2 bags, filling both of them to the top. We waited until 3 a.m. Once the clock struck 3 a.m., we quickly, but quietly made our way down the stairs. I slowly opened the door, and let Alice and Rosalie out. Once they were outside, I got in and slowly closed the door behind me. Let's go, Alice shouted, whispered, skipping her way toward Jacob's house. Rose and I started running towards her. Jacob's house wasn't far from mine, so it didn't take us long to get not, especially since Alice was skipping full speed, that Rosalie and I had to run just to keep up with her. Once we got there, all the lights were closed. Perfect. Come on, Rosalie whispered. We quickly ran to the front yard. I slipped the backpack to the ground. Rosalie doing the same. We quickly opened them and started throwing the toilet paper everywhere. Obviously Emmett had helped Rosalie with her aim, since Rose was hitting every target she aimed for. Alice, on the other hand, was having a little trouble getting the toilet paper in high places. But she managed to get them on the main floor. I threw them basically anywhere, not aiming for anywhere in particular. I had 1 roll of paper left. I threw it with all force, and hit a window. Thump. Shit. A light came on in the room of the window. I looked back at the girls. Run, Alice whispered. We quickly started running back to my house. We ran as fast as we could. What the hell? I heard Jacob shout. We're going to get you, you bastards. He shouted. I couldn't help but to laugh, surprisingly. Once we got to my house, we collapsed on my yard, laughing and trying to breathe. That was the funniest thing ever. Rosalie laughed, between breath. Alice began to laugh harder. Let's go back in and get some sleep, I managed to say. Rosalie got up, and helped Alice up, whom helped me up, or at least tried to, so Rosalie came to my aid. We slowly made our way into the house, back to my room, and went to bed. Edward's P.O.V. It was Friday night, and the guys and I were as bored as hell. We were sitting in the Burger Palace. I sat in front of Emmett, watching him wolf down his 3rd burger. I looked at him in disgust. How on earth can you eat so much? I asked him. I dunno, he simply answered. I rolled my eyes. What do you guys want to do? Jasper asked, his voice dull. I'm not sure, Emmett. Eat, Emmett, one cannot spend a night stuffing their faces. I told him. Oh, want to go to a movie? With what money? You just spent all of it on food, ass whip. Jasper muttered. Shut up, Emmett said through bites. Well, we have to find something, I sighed. We sat quietly. Suddenly, Jasper broke the silence. Hey, my dad said they just bought own busted old piece of shit at the garage. We could go and see if we can fix it up, Abbott. That's a great idea, I told him. Let's go, Emmett said, taking the last bite of his burger and getting up. Once we got to Jasper's dad, Earl and family garage, we got inside. A light, let's find this baby, Jasper said. We went our separate ways. I looked at the end of the garage. There a sheet covering something huge. I went up, and took off the sheet. And there it was. Emmett, Jasper, I found it. Damn, your dad wasn't lying when he said it was an ugly piece of shit, I shouted. Soon, Emmett and Jasper were next to me. Damn, Emmett whistled. Well, this baby's gonna take a lot of work. Might as well start now, Jasper said. Let's do this. Jasper walked over to the radio, and turned the music to full blast. The car was full of junk, so we had to get rid of that. We threw all the trash on the ground, not even caring for the mess we make. Once we got rid of all the trash, we ticked that we would have to get new seats. Emmett, go find us some seats, Jasper ordered. Whatever, he said before leaving. What color should we paint it? I asked Jasper. I got it, orange, and then we can paint flames in the front and side, he exclaimed. That would be great, I praised, and it would totally pick up chicks. We heard Emmett said. His voice sounded pained. We turned Ned and saw him trying to carry 2 seats. Jasper immediately ran to help him. Thanks man, Emmett said, his voice more steady. Once they were back, we took out the old seats. That took about 10 minutes. Once we got those done, we put the new ones in. They were nice, black leather. As Jasper and I started painting the car, Emmett started polishing the inside of the car, which took quite a while, considering the amount of damage it had. Once Emmett was done, and Jasper and I had finished painting, we all decided to take a break. Emmett, being a smart ass, decided to lean against the still wet car. Shit, he shouted. We turned around, his ass was now orange. Jasper and I couldn't help but to laugh. Emmett gave us a murderous look, and then we continued. At around 3 am, we were finally done. We had turned a piece of shit into what Emmett would call a babe magnet. The orange was dark, but not too dark. The flames were colored a bright red and yellow, and ran all along the side of the car. The inside was shiny. You could see your own reflection on the steering wheel. New review mirrors, new wheels. This thing was beautiful. We had worked for 10 hours straight on this thing, only taking one break. But damn, it was worth it. This thing was amazing. What should we name her? Emmett asked, still admiring our work. Flaming Wheels, Jasper said. Sweet, I said. Well, I'm beat. Emmett yawned. Jasper and I agreed. We all said our goodbyes and left. I can't wait till Bella sees this. Bella's POV. I woke up to a sudden flash of light, soon followed by a boom. I quickly shot up from my sleeping bag, startled by the storm. I looked over to Alice and Rosalie, whom had also been woken up by the storm. What time is it? Alice yawned. I looked over to the clock. 1:30 p.m., I answered. Guess it's time to wake up, Rosalie said, getting up and stretching. Do we have to? Alice asked, falling into her sleeping bag. Yes, the guys might call any minute now. Right on cue, the phone began to ring. I walked over to the phone and answered. Hello, I said, my voice still droopy. Hello beautiful, I heard my love say. What's up? I asked him, fully awake now. Nothing. Did you have a fun night? Yeah, it was great. I smiled, even thought he couldn't see. Well, I'm glad you had fun. Listen, the guys and I are going to the Burger Palace. Would you girls like to join us? He asked. 1 second. I told him. I pulled the phone away and covered the mouth part with my hand. The guys are going to the Burger Palace. Wanna go? I asked the girls. Sure, they replied at the same time. I quickly got back to Edward. We'd love to, I answered. Great, we will see you soon. I love you, he replied. I love you too, I said before hanging up. Bella and Edward sittin' in a tree makinglove, Rosalie sang. I rolled my eyes at her version of the song. Let's get dressed and go, the guys are waiting for us, I said, annoyed. We quickly got up and packed our things. Once we were done, we quickly got dressed and headed to the Burger Palace. Because of the rain, we had to run. But being the klutz I am, I managed to slip in a puddle. Luckily only part of my legs got wet. Despite our hurry, we were still drenched once we got inside. We looked around for the guys, whom were sitting in the far back of the Burger Palace. We slowly made our way there. I am assuming you girls walked here? Emmett commented once we got to the table. Ran. Rosalie sighed before giving Emmett a kiss. We would have been less wet as Bella wouldn't have fallen or tripped so many times. Alice shot. Jasper laughed and sat Alice down on his lap. Well, you know me. I rolled my eyes. I soon felt a pair of arms wrap themselves around my waist and bringing me forward. Soon I fell onto Edward's lap. Good morning, he whispered before pressing his onto mine. Morning, I said breathlessly. So, what did you girls do last night? Jasper asked, his head resting onto Alice's neck. I noticed him peeking down her top, which Alice also must have had noticed, since she smacked his head and rolled her eyes. Just the usual, Rosalie mused. Oh fun, Emmett said. There was an awkward silence for a moment. Soon Alice broke it with her giggles, which caused Rose to start laughing, which made me laugh. I looked at the boys, who shared confused looks. We tippied Jacob's house, Rosalie blurted between laughs. Really? Edward asked. Yep, it was so fun. Bella almost got us caught though, Alice said, still giggling. How so? Edward asked, giving me a squeeze. I kinda threw a toilet paper roll at Jake's window, I muttered, blushing a little. Typical Bella, Emmett boomed. I shot him an evil glare. So what did you guys do? Alice asked. It's a surprise, Jasper answered proudly. When do we get to see it? Rosalie asked. Today. In fact, right now if you want. Edward replied. Not right now, first we eat, Emmett shouted. Everyone at the table rolled their eyes and ordered their food. We spent the rest of our lunch eating and chatting about our night. I couldn't help but to wonder what the guys did. After we were all done, the guys started leading us to Jasper's dad's Earl and family garage. Alright, we are gonna cover your eyes now, Emmett warned. Soon a pair of hands were covering my eyes. Edward started leading me somewhere. We walked for what felt like forever, but was probably only 2 minutes. But I was so excited that I couldn't contain myself. Apparently, Alice couldn't either. Can we see it yet? Alice wondered aloud. Yes, Jasper laughed. After a count of 3, Edward's hands left my face. And there it was, a beautiful car. Whoa, did you guys do this? I asked, amazed. Yep, Emmett said, flexing his arms. Baby, I didn't know you fixed cars. Rosalie purred, sliding her finger down Emmett's chest, which left him speechless. Guys, this is beautiful. I love the color, Alice chirped. Thanks, Jasper said, giving Alice a wink. Have you guys tried it out? I asked. Not yet, we wanted to wait. Edward replied. Well, I'm not going in it, Alice said. Why not? Jasper asked, stunned. It's totally bad for the environment. You know, if we don't start helping the earth, we could totally end it. Alice answered. Alice, you will be long gone before the earth blows up. Emmett told her, which caused Alice to gasp. Well, how about we hang out here for a while? I suggested. Why not? We sat down in the car and started talking. We talked about various things such as school, well, at least us girls did, while the guys talked about street racing. Which caused Alice to start lecturing them about how dangerous street racing can be and how bad gasoline is for the environment. But Jasper thankfully closed her mouth by covering it with his own, which completely caused Alice to forget what she was saying. Looks like the weather cleared up. Do you guys want to go see a movie at the drive-in? I hear Children of the Dead is great, Emmett asked. Sure, we can totally show off this beauty, Edward sighed. But we want all fit, Rosalie pointed out. I'm going to walk, Alice stated, and I will escort her, Jasper said, helping Alice out of the car. Alright, we'll see you there, Emmett said before hitting the gas pedal and driving out of the garage. Bye, Alice shouted. I turned back to see her waving at us. I smiled and waved back. Soon Edward's arm wrapped itself around my waist, pulling me to his side. I missed you last night, he whispered in my ear. I turned my head to face him and pressed my lips to his. Alice's P.O.V. I watched my friends drive away in the new car the guys had made, with smiles on their faces. I couldn't help to smile back. I soon felt 2 arms wrap themselves around my waist from behind. I turned my body around and looked up to Jasper. He leaned down to my level. Are you sure you want to go? He asked. Of course, we said we would. It's not like we can ditch them. I smacked his chest jokingly. He laughed and started trailing kissing on my neck. I grabbed his hair with both my hands, letting out a little moan. He soon pressed his lips back to mine. Full force, his hands traveled down my back, pushing me closer to him. I pulled my face away. We have to go, I breathed. Alright, he sighed, a frown on his beautiful face. I quickly gave him a kiss and took his hand and walked away. So, why did you guys decide to fix a car last night? I asked him as we made our way to the drive-in theater. We were bored and had nothing better to do. He replied simply. Well, it's nice, I said. Not that you'll go in it, he muttered. I looked up at him. I will for you, I said, smiling. He looked down at me and smiled. One question though, he said. Shoot, why is it that you will drive in Rosalie's car, but not ours? He asked. Her car takes up less car, I answered. His face suddenly became confused. How do you know that? Rosalie talks about cars a lot, and your car takes a lot of gas, I stated. Oh, was all he said. We spent the rest of the walk in silence. It wasn't weird, we just enjoyed each other's company. Once we got there, we bought our ticket and went to find the others. Soon, we were all reunited. Jessica's P.O.V. Girls, I am totally bored, I mused. I sat on my bed, on a Saturday night, with Lauren and Leah. We were doing absolutely nothing. Why don't we call Tyler and Jacob? Lauren suggested. Because they are idiots, I shouted. But you were totally in low. she started. Shut up, Lauren, I snapped. Why don't we go see a movie? Leah suggested. I thought about it for a minute. Whatever, not like we have anything better to do. We all hopped off my bed and went downstairs. I told my parents that we were going to the drive-through theater and that I was taking the car. Once we were in the car, I turned up the music, and we all started to sing. Once we were there, we bought our tickets and looked for a parking space. When we were looking, we saw Emmett, Jasper and Edward, the hottest guys in the world. But they weren't alone. Rosalie, Alice and Bella were at their sides. Clinging to them, I shot them an evil glare. Those guys shouldn't be with a bunch of sluts. They should be with us. We are so much better than them, plus we are so much prettier. I thought to myself. Soon after we passed them, we found a parking spot. Suddenly an idea popped into my head. Girls, I just had a fabulous idea, I said, an evil smirk on my face. Bella's POV. I sat down next to Edward. His arm wrapped around my shoulder, my body pressed against his side. We sat there and listened to the previews and to the rest of the gang talking. So, what is this movie about? Alice asked. Children of the Dead, Emmett answered casually. Alice rolled her eyes at Emmett. I looked over to Rose, noticing she was being quiet. She was being quiet because she was too busy glaring at Jessica. Lauren and Leah, they glared back, but Jessica had an evil smirk. I couldn't help but to wince. Edward seemed to have noticed it. Are you all right? He asked me. Yeah, I'm fine. I smiled. He leaned in and gave me a quick peck on the lips. The movie soon started. I couldn't help but to yawn. 20 minutes into the movie, people were already getting their heads cut off, getting shot, anything causing death. Which didn't frighten me. Unlike Alice, I looked over to Alice and saw her curled up into a ball, pressed against Jasper, her head buried in his chest. Maybe I should take her to the bathroom or something. I leaned forward and gave a light tap on Alice's shoulder, which caused her to jump. She turned her head around. What the hell? She hissed. I'm sorry, I was just wondering if you wanted to go to the bathroom. I asked. Sure, anything is better than this, she said, slipping from Jasper's hold. Want me to ask Rose? Sure. I saw Alice's figure lean into what seemed like Rosalie's and whisper something. Soon Alice and Rosalie hopped out of the car. I soon followed. Be careful, it's super dark, I cautioned. Yes, Mom, Rosalie said sarcastically. We slowly made our way to the bathroom. I kept my hands out so that I wouldn't hit anything. Finally we made it to the bathroom. Jessica's POV. After we were done parking, I told the girls my plan. Are you sure it's going to work? I mean, what if they don't leave? How will we know they leave? It's so dark, Leah questioned. Leah, would take a chill pill already? God, the plan is going to work. All we need to do is watch them, and once we girls leave, we go. I explained. But what if the guys leave? Lauren asked. They won't. Plus I have this, I said, holding up a little flashlight. The girls gasped. Girls, this plan is going to work. I reassured them. They nodded their heads and turned to watch the movie. During the movie, I would casually click the flashlight on and shine it on the blue babes and bad boys. They were all cuddled. If I wanted my plan to work, we would really need to act like the blue babes. 20 minutes into the movie, I heard whispered and movement in their car. I clicked my flashlight on, and saw the blue babes getting out of the car. This was our time. Girls, get ready, I told them. We quickly got out of the car and made our way to theirs, our hoods over our heads. We waited a couple minutes. Suddenly it became dark. The characters in the movie were in a pitch-black basement. Finally we made our way into the car. Leah, being the smallest, cuddled next to Jasper. Pretending to be Alice, Lauren went and sat on Emmett's lap, pretending to be Rosalie, and I went and sat next to Edward. My heart was pounding, wondering if the plan would actually work. So far, it was. I slowly sat down next to Edward, keeping my distance. Soon his arm wrapped itself around my body. I stiffened as he brought me against his side. Where did you girls go? Edward whispered. He was so warm. Bathroom, I whispered, trying to sound like Bella. Thought my voice came out very faint. Are you all right? He asked, concerned. Yeah, I'm just losing my voice, I think, I said. Do you want to leave? No, we can stay. Way to go, Jessica, almost blowing your own cover. We sat there in silence, watching the movie, when we heard a few voices snicker and whisper. The blue babes. Now it was time to get started. I coughed twice, giving the girls a signal to get ready. After 3 seconds, I took a deep breath and pressed my lips against Edward's. Bella's P.O.V. This movie is so lame. Rosalie sighed once we got into the bathroom. I agree. I laughed. I think it's scary. Alice whispered. Yeah, we know. We saw you cuddling with Jasper. Rosalie said, giving Alice a little wink. Alice laughed. I just realized we forgot to tell the guys where we are going. I said, oh well, they will survive. Not if those dead kids get them. Alice muttered. Or Jessica and her army. Rosalie said. We soon started to laugh. Do you girls want to go back? I asked once I stopped laughing. Sure. Do any of you girls have a light though? I hate walking in the dark. Alice asked. Let me check. Rosalie said. She opened her purse and started looking through it. Suddenly she pulled out a lighter. Will this do? Rose asked. Yep. Alice chirped. We quickly did one last makeup and hair check, and walked out the door. Rose lighted up the lighter and led the way. We heard screaming from the movie, which scared little Alice, which made us hurry to the guys. Alice and I started whispering when we suddenly came to a stop, and heard a gasp. We quickly looked up at Rosalie. What is going on here? She shouted. Alice and I looked at each other. Confused looks on our faces. We looked at what Rosalie was looking at. I suddenly became paralyzed. Edward was kissing. No, not kissing. Making out with Jessica. I looked over to Jasper. He was also making out with someone. I looked closer and noticed it was Leah. Emmett was making out with Lauren. Edward? I whispered. As soon as he heard my voice, he pulled away from Jessica, his face full of shock. What is going on here? Rosalie shouted again. We got scared. Jessica answered simply. What the hell is wrong with you? You fucking whore. And you guys, how the hell could you do this to us? Huh? God, you're a bunch of fucking idiots. Rosalie snapped. Rose, we had no idea. I swear. Emmett pleaded. Oh shut up Emmett. Girls, let's leave these guys with their dates. Rosalie said before turning on her heel and leaving. I looked over to Alice and saw only pain. She was looking at Jasper, tears in her eyes. I put my arm over to shoulder. Let's go, I whispered. She nodded and turned around and started walking away. I took one last look at the guys, and joined the girls. Edward's P.O.V. I couldn't believe what had just happened. I looked over to Jessica. She had a huge smirk on her face. How could you do that, Jessica? Are you really that jealous? I asked, furious. Edward, everyone knows those girls are hussies. And everyone knows you and I belong together. You and that Bella girl were so totally not meant to be. It didn't click, unlike you and I. She explained. Get out of the car. I told her, too furious to say anything else. But Edwa, get out of the car, I said, giving her a death glare. She nodded and jumped out of the car, followed by Leah and Lauren. I sighed. What are we going to do? I asked the guys. No idea, they said. Bella's P.O.V. Go. Get hit by a car, Rosalie whispered, shouted, throwing eggs at Emmett's house. Rosalie and officially decided that to get back at the boys and to let our anger out, that we should egg their houses. We started with Emmett's. Rose and I started throwing eggs at his house, as Alice just stood in the driveway and kept watch. I looked back and saw her hugging herself. Rose, I really think Alice is hurt by this, I said, throwing an egg. Which is why we are doing this, Bella. It will totally help her. Trust me, she answered, throwing as many eggs as she could. I didn't want to argue. All right, I sighed. After we were done Emmett's house, we headed to Jasper's. Just looking at the house made Alice wince. I looked at her. Suddenly, her face was full of anger. Shish. He picked up an egg and threw it right at his window. She couldn't stop. She started throwing them everywhere. Rosalie was right. This was helping her. Suddenly Alice collapsed on the ground, laughing. What? I asked, running towards her. This is so much fun, she said between laughs. I couldn't help but to smile. Come on girls, we are going to Edward's house now, Rosalie hissed before she started walking. Alice held her hand out. I smirked and pulled her up. We started running to Edward's house. Once we got there, we noticed Flaming Wheels was in the parking area. Shit, I whispered. I got an idea, Rosalie said, dropping her bag with the eggs in it. She picked out a couple and started smashing them to the car. Soon Alice joined. I heard her cussing as she threw them. Lee picked a few up and started throwing them. Suddenly Edward's light came on. Let's go, I whispered. We quickly picked up our bags and ran away. That'll show them to mess with us. Edward's P.O.V. Did you guys hear something? I asked, walking up into my room. Once we were all inside, I closed my door and turned the lights on and walked over to the window. My eyes widened. "Guys," I managed to say. Emmett and Jasper came to my side. A gasp came out of Jasper's mouth. We all looked at each other and ran outside. There it was, flaming wheels, covered in eggs. "Who?" Emmett wondered. "The girls." I heard myself reply. "You really think they did this to us?" "But why?" Jasper asked with a sigh. "They probably wanted revenge because of stupid Jessica and her stupid friends." "Fuck," I shouted, kicking the car. "Hey, don't take it out on the car," Emmett growled. I rolled my eyes. "I have to go," Jasper said, leaving. Alice's POV. After we were done egging the guys' houses, I went home. Once I got home, I took a short hot shower and put on a pair of boxer shorts and a sweater. After I was done getting dressed, I laid down on my bed and started reading an old magazine. I couldn't stop thinking of Jasper. How could he do that to me? I've done nothing to him except give him all my love, and this is how he repays me? My thoughts suddenly snapped as I heard my window open. I snapped my head up in shock. Jasper climbed his way into my room, not saying a word. He looked at me with his big blue eyes, sadness filling them. I quickly looked away and didn't say a word. I heard his footsteps coming closer and closer. "Alice," he whispered my eyes. I squeezed my eyes closed, knowing that I would look at him. "Go away," I managed to say. He didn't listen. Instead, he sat on my bed next to me. "Alice," he whispered again. "Go away, Jasper," I warned. I opened my eyes to see if he had listened to me. His face was in pain. His eyes sparkling, his lips frowning. I couldn't stop looking at him. I sat on my bed. My lower lip started to tremble. "Don't cry, Alice." Jasper slowly and lightly pressed his finger on my lip, making it stop. My eyes locked on his. I could see his eyes pleading for forgiveness. Slowly, he leaned in towards him, stopping just inches from my lips. "Why?" I whispered. Instead of answering me, he pressed his lips against mine. I moaned at the sudden action. Jasper wrapped his arms around my waist, pulling me firmly against his chest. I brought my hands up to his head and tangled my finger in his blonde hair. Suddenly Jasper got up, not breaking our kiss, and pressed me against the bed, trapping me between the bed and his body. "I'm so sorry," he whispered against my lips. Suddenly I stopped kissing him, remembering what he had done. I pulled myself away from him. He looked at me confused. "You won't do it again, will you?" I told him. I couldn't do this anymore. I can't let him hurt me anymore. "What? No, never." He reassured me. "Good," I said with a smile. He smiled back at me. We laid in my bed for a while, talking about what Jessica and her crew did. It was actually quite funny, hearing the whole story. After Jasper had told me the whole story, we laid in my bed in silence. "I love you, Al," he started until suddenly my door opened. There stood my father. "Alice, do you know where?" He stopped in mid-sentence, realizing I was not in bed alone. "Alice, who in fuck's name is this? And you, get out of my daughter's bed right now," my father shouted. Suddenly my dad quickly ran into his room and came back with a baseball bat. "If I ever see you around my daughter, I will send you to jail. Ya got that? Now get out of my house," my father continued, not lowering his voice. "Dad," I shouted. "Shut up, Alice. Now get out," he shouted back. Jasper quickly ran out of my room. I heard him running down the stairs and running out the door. I looked at my father. Hate filled my eyes. "What is wrong with you?" I snapped. "Don, you dare talk to me like that, young lady? If I ever see you with that boy, I will send out of this country forever. And you'll never see that boy again. In fact, I'm going to make sure you never see that boy ever again." "What's his name?" "I'm not telling," I said to him. "Tell me," he shouted in my ear. Tears filled my eyes. "Jasper Whitlock," I whispered. Now I knew I would never see Jasper. "Whitlock? Alice Brandon, are you telling me you were going out with a Whitlock?" he was once again shouted. I nodded. "How could you, Alice? You know how terrible those Whitlocks are, always stealing and getting us Brandons in trouble." "Alice, you are forbidden to ever see that boy again," he shouted before storming out of my room. I sighed. My father has always held a grudge against the Whitlocks ever since the Whitlocks stole my father's business. He also held a grudge because my great-great-aunt had fallen in love with James Whitlock, whom had apparently killed her for her money. My father believed in that, so he never allowed me to go around them. Of course Rose and Bella knew about this. They never spoke of Jasper when my parents were around. And that's why Jasper always came through my window. I wiped the tears from my eyes and went to bed. Bella's POV. I woke up the next morning with a big headache. I groaned and woke up. I walked into my bathroom and got some medicine. After taking my medicine I walked downstairs. It was quiet. I walked into the kitchen over to the fridge. There was a note on it. Bella, your father and I won't be here today. We left for a shopping trip. Be back late tonight. Love, Mom and Dad. I threw the note in the garbage and took out some eggs. I cracked them open and started cooking them. As I cooked the eggs there was a knock on my door, or should I say a loud bang. I quickly made my way to the door. Alice? I said once I opened my door. Hi, she said, forcing herself to smile. What's wrong? I asked her. Can I come in? She asked, completely ignoring my question. Sure, I said, opening the door wider. Alice quickly stepped inside. I closed the door and we walked into the kitchen. I went back to the frying pan and flipped my eggs. So what's up? I asked her before I yawned. She sat quietly for a moment. Jasper came to my house last night, she said, breaking the silence. I stiffened and stopped flipping the egg. I looked up at her, my eyes full of shock. What? Are you serious? I asked in disbelief. She nodded her head. No way. What did he want? He was just like, I'm sorry. I didn't mean to hurt you. She stated simply. Was that it? I asked her. I felt as if she was hiding something. She bit down on her lower lip. He kissed me. She smiled at the thought, but then pain filled her eyes. What happened? I wondered. She took a deep breath. My father came in the room. She whispered. My eyes widened with horror. I looked at her. Tears were forming in her eyes. Alice, I whispered. I'm so sorry, I said. I went up to her and hugged her tightly. He won't let me see him anymore. She sighed. I looked at her. Suddenly the doorbell rang. I walked over and opened the door. I hope Emmett gets hit by a truck. She greeted me, walking into my house, not even asking if she could. Oh, are you making eggs? Can I have some? I love eggs. Oh, hey Alice, Rosalie said as she walked into the kitchen. What's wrong, Alice? You look terrible, she said, taking my eggs off the pan and putting them on a plate and started eating them. I sighed and got more eggs out of the fridge. My father found out about Jasper. Alice sighed. As soon as those words came out of her mouth, Rosalie spit the eggs out of her mouth and placed the plate on the table. What? How? Rosalie shouted. Jasper came to my house to apologize. Alice whispered. Oh, was all Rose said. We all sat there quietly. Alice and Rose watched me as I cracked an egg and watched it fall into the pan. So why should Emmett get hit by a truck? I asked Rose, changing the subject. Because, he sent me, get this, burgers. Not flowers but burgers. Is he stupid of what? Oh, and there was a card that came with the bag of burgers. It said, I hope you enjoy these, Rosalia. Yep, that's right, Rosalia. He doesn't even know my fucking name. Rosalie shouted. Suddenly Alice started to laugh, hard. She clenched her sides from laughing to hard. Tears forming in her eyes. Soon she found herself falling from a chair to the ground, which caused her to laugh even more, which I didn't know was even possible. But Alice's loud GHTER soon found itself to me as I started laughing. It's not funny, Rose barked, but Alice and I kept laughing, and soon, Rosalie was also laughing. Okay, maybe it's a little funny, she said between laughs. We kept laughing until suddenly Alice stopped. Rose and I looked at her. Guys, next weekend is the long weekend. We have no school on Friday, Monday and Tuesday. We should soon go on a road trip, she exclaimed, jumping up and down. Now that's the Alice I know. That's a good idea, and we can't tell the guys. We need a girls' week without them ruining it for us. Rosalie added. Alright, then it's settled. We are going on a road trip, I shouted. Jasper's POV. I woke up from my bed, feeling like shit. I couldn't stop thinking about last night. The look on Alice's face. Her father's words were stuck in my head. If I ever see you around my daughter, I will send you to jail. Ya got that? He might as well send me to jail now. Life without Alice seemed exactly like jail. Nothing would make me smile. I sighed and got out of bed. I took a quick shower and got ready. Once I was ready, I walked over to the Burger Palace, where I was supposed to meet the guys. Once I got there, Edward and Emmett shouted my name. I walked over to our usual table. Hey Jasper, what's up? Edward asked once I reached them. Nothing, I said simply. Edward observed me as Emmett wolfed down his burger. Something wrong? Edward asked. I sighed. They were going to figure it out sooner or later. Alice's dad found out about Alice and I said quietly, not looking at them. Edward stiffened next to me. Emmett choked on his bite of burger. What? Emmett asked, coughing as he still recovered from choking. We were in her room and he found out. Were you guys having sex? Emmett asked. Edward slapped him, knowing it was none of his business. No, we were not, Emmett, I said, rolling my eyes. What did he say? Edward asked, getting back on subject. If I ever go around Alice again, he'll send me to jail. I'm sorry, Jasper, Edward sighed, giving me a comforting pat on the back. I smiled a weak smile at him. Yeah, it's a fucking shame. What are you going to do? Emmett wondered. I have no idea, I sighed. We sat there quietly for a moment, unsure of what to say. Well, I'm gonna go order some burgers and bring them to Rose as an apology. Later, Emmett said before leaving, not even bothering to hear what we have to say. Could he be any stupider? I asked. Edward laughed. I couldn't help but to crack a real smile, but it still wasn't the same knowing I might never talk to my Alice again. Bella's POV. The rest of the weekend we spent thinking of where we should go on our road trip. We decided to go to Port Angeles and shop around and stuff. Monday morning, Rose picked Ed, Alice and I at our houses and drove us to school. Once we got there, the bad boys were right in front of the door. I glanced over to Alice. Pain filled her eyes as she looked at Jasper. I looked over to Rose. Hate filled her eyes as she glared at Emmett. I turned my head looking at Edward. He smiled and started walking towards me. Or so I thought. I started to walk forward, towards Edward. He opened his arms. Soon we were only inches away, until he walked right past me. Jane, Edward shouted. I turned around and saw him hugging this Jane girl. She was short with brown shoulder-length hair. Her skin was fair, his eyes a beautiful dark green. Edward, she squealed as she hugged him. My mouth fell open. Had Edward already managed to find a new girlfriend? Come on, Bella. I felt Rosalie tugging at me towards the front door. I looked back at Edward once more. They were still hugging. A frown placed itself on my face. As we walked up the stairs, Jasper took a step forward to Alice, then another. Soon they were inches away, as Edward and I were. I turned around making sure there wasn't some other girl that Jasper might be going to. But there was no one. Come on, Alice, Angela Sue, Dee Denley squealed as she came out the school doors. She immediately took hold of Alice's arm and dragged her into the school. I looked over to Rose, confused. What was that about? I asked. They're keeping her away from me, Jasper replied for Rose. You think her father has something to do with this? Rose asked in disbelief. Jasper nodded. I'm so sorry, Jasper, I said. Yeah, he sighed. I felt terrible. I had never seen Jasper this sad. Jasper, who's that girl Edward is talking to? Rose asked, changing the subject. Oh, that's Jane. She and Edward were best friends. They also had a thing for a while, Jasper informed. I stiffened when Jasper said, thing. What is she doing here? I stuttered. She's visiting for the long weekend. Emmett boomed. Obviously he had been listening to our conversation. Hey Rose baby, he said, slinging his arm over her shoulder, which she slapped off. Don't even, Emmett, she warned, her voice low. What's wrong? Didn't you get the burgers I gave you? He asked. Yes, and that's exactly what's wrong. Not only did you send me those, which you should never do, you spelt my name wrong. You wrote Rosalia, not Rosalie. And you don't send a girl burgers, you send her flowers. Get it, Emmett? Flowers. God, I didn't even think it was possible for someone to be that stupid. She snapped. Jasper laughed as he listened to Rosalie lecture Emmett. But Jasper wasn't the only one who was laughing. Edward and Jane were next to me also laughing at Rosalie's tantrum. I took a step closer to Rose, not wanting to be near them. My fucking Lord, Rose, take a chill pill, would ya? It was a mistake. I'm sorry. Get over it. Just shut up, Emmett. I'm not going to deal with your shit anymore, alright? Oh, what are you going to do? Go on, boy, fast, again? Yeah, like that's going to work. Rose looked at him, stunned by his words. I couldn't help but to also be stunned. I would have never guessed Emmett saying something like that. Rose just shook her head, grabbed my hand and pulled me inside. After the warning bell rang, I made my way to the change room and met up with Alice. Once we were done getting changed, we went outside and sat and waited for class to start. So what was up with Angela this morning? What did she want? I asked her. I think my dad is paying her to keep Jasper away from me. She sighed. It's too bad she's in this class, isn't it? I also sighed. Soon after, our teacher started talking, telling us what we will be doing today. We were playing baseball with the guys. The teams mixed. Luckily, Alice and I ended up on the team. Sadly, Edward was also on our team, as was Jasper. But there was an advantage to that. Since Angela was on the other team, she couldn't really keep Alice and Jasper from not talking. But they still had to be careful. Alice was first up to bat. She quickly skipped her way to the plate and picked up the bat. Once she was in position, Eric threw the ball at her. Once the ball was close, Alice swung the bat. Strike. Alice kicked the bat against her heel and got back into her position. Eric once again threw the ball. This time, she hit it hard. The ball flew to the back of the field. The other team started running for the ball as Alice made her way to each base. Alice was a great runner. Base 1, base 2, base 3, home run. We all cheered as Alice came to sit on the team bench. But before she could, Jasper lifted her in the air and spun her around, causing Alice to giggle and give him a peck on the cheek. After we switched, Alice was in charge of throw the ball to the other team. I was in charge of catching the ball when it came in my direction. Mike was first up to bat. Edward called the team in closer, knowing that Mike would not be able to hit the ball far. But we were all surprised when the ball flew almost as far as Alice's did. Soon we all began to run towards the ball. Of course, being my clumsy self, I managed to trip on my own feet, causing me to fall to the ground. Suddenly I felt a pair of arms wrap themselves around my waist and pulling me up. I turned my head around and saw none other than Edward. "Thanks," I said. I could feel like cheeks burning. "No problem," he said, giving me a wink before running back to the ball. Edward soon reached the ball. He picked it up quickly and threw it to Jasper before Mike made his way to the base. "Out," the coach yelled. We all cheered and started walking toward the water fountain. "Jasper," we suddenly heard a female voice say. Jasper's head shot up. There stood a very tall blonde girl, her skin and hair very fair. She was wearing a pair of jean short shorts and a white and blue polo and white flip-flops. I couldn't see her eyes because they were being covered by a huge pair of black sunglasses. "Lucy," Jasper whispered, his mouth hanging. Lucy ran over to Jasper and jumped into his arms. "Jasper, oh my God, I've missed you so much," she said, giving Jasper a peck on the cheek. I looked over at Alice, whom was giving Lucy the evilest glare in the world. "I've missed you too," Jasper laughed. "But what are you doing here?" he asked. "Well, Jane told me she was coming to visit you and Edward the first thought I should come visit you guys too. Plus I haven't seen Jane in forever. Where is she anyway?" "Oh well, who cares? I can't believe I'm here," she exclaimed, keeping her grip around Jasper. She turned her head to us. "Who are they?" "Oh, are they your friends? What are their names?" "Of course I know Edward," she said. "My God, does she ever shut up?" "This is Bella," Jasper said, pointing at me. "And this is Alice," he trailed off, pointing at Alice. "Oh my God, it is so nice to meet you girls." "Oh my God, your skin is so nice. Do you use cream?" Lucy asked me. "No." "Oh, well, your skin is gorgeous," says the model with the perfect skin. I thought, "Jasper, you must show me around this place tonight." Lucy purred. "Come on, Bella, let's go back to the field," Alice said, pulling my hand. Obviously not being able to listen to this anymore. The rest of the gym class we spent far from the guys. The tension between us was horrid. A couple minutes before the bell, Alice and I quickly got dressed and headed to our next class. This was not going to be a good day. Jasper's POV. I couldn't believe that Lucy was here. Of course I was happy, but I was also sad. It was nice seeing an old friend, but horrible to see Alice in pain. I could tell Alice felt jealous and hurt when Lucy held onto me, which made me feel horrible. I never wanted to see my sweet Alice in pain. After gym class, Edward and I quickly changed and walked over to where Lucy and Jane were now chattering away. Jane had found us near the field and freaked when she saw Lucy. They hadn't stopped talking since. So I was like, "What the hell is your problem? I haven't even done anything to you." And he was like, "You're such a bitch." Jane was explaining to Lucy as Edward and I made our way to the girls. "What a fucking loser," Lucy said. Lucy turned her head towards us and grinned. "Hi Jasper," she said, her voice so lovely. "Stop it, Jasper, you don't like Lucy, you love Alice." "Hey Lucy, so what were you boys up to for the rest of the day?" Jane asked, fingering Edward's shirt. "Well, we thought we'd ditch the rest of the day and show you girls around," Edward replied. "What? Oh, that sounds fun," Lucy said, grabbing my hand and pulling me towards her car. "You can drive," she told me, giving me a wink. Right. Where are we going first, Edward?" I asked. "Well, there's not much to show around here. Hey, I got an idea. This weekend is the long weekend. We can take you girls up to Port Angeles. There's tons of stuff there. Edward suggested. Yay, the girls squealed. So then what are we going to do until then? Jane asked. Jasper, maybe you could show me where you live, Lucy suggested, playing with a piece of my hair. Sure, I stuttered. I hated when Lucy did this. He has this power of making a guy do anything she wants. Quickly we got into her car and started driving to my house. Once we were there, I noticed that my parents had left for work. We slowly walked up to the door. Once we were inside, Lucy started to look around. You have a nice house, she complimented. Thanks. Can I see your room? She asked. Sure. We quickly walked up the stairs. My room was the first door on the right. I slowly opened the door to my room. It was all right. I had just cleaned it a little last night, so it wasn't much of a mess. She smirked as she noticed the pile of clothes that I had left on the floor. Well, your room looks the same as it did before. She laughed. Yeah, well, I trailed. Lucy stepped to my window and looked outside. You got a nice view, she told me. Suddenly my eyes trailed her body. Yeah, I said, still looking at her. I shook my head and looked at her face. She was smiling at me. Shit, she saw me. She started walking towards me. Once she was in front of me, she snaked her arms around my neck. She leaned in, our faces inches from each other. I've wanted you for so long, Jasper, she whispered seductively. Well then wait no longer, I whispered back before smashing my lips against hers. Emmett's P.O.V. After 2 extremely boring periods, it was finally lunch. I headed of the cafeteria and waited for the guys. After I was done eating my lunch, the guys were still not here. I sighed impatiently. Lauren, do you know where Jasper and Edward are? I asked her as she walked by. I saw Jasper get into some chick's car, she answered. Do you know where they went? I heard they're going to Jasper's. I said as I started to walk towards my car. You're welcome, Lauren shouted. I quickly got into my car and started driving to Jasper's house. Why the fuck didn't he tell me they were leaving? Fucking assholes. Once I got to Jasper's house I ran up to the door and knocked. No answer. I put my hand on the door handle and turned it. The door was open. I started looking around the house. Jasper? I shouted. No answer. I ran up the stairs, thinking he could be in his room. I was right. Once I opened the door, Jasper's clothes were on the floor as usual, but there was also girls' clothing. I looked over to Jasper's bed and saw him laying there with a gorgeous blonde. I quietly walked over to his dresser and leaned on it. Well, it's so nice to see young love, I said loudly. They both jumped at my sudden voice. Jasper looked over at me and glared. What do you want, Emmett? He growled. Well, I came to see if you alright, since you know. You and Edward kinda ditched me, I answered. And who may I ask is this beautiful young lady? I asked. This is Lucy, my old friend, Jasper replied, his voice calmer. Hi Emmett, she chirped, a huge smile on her face. Hello, I said coolly, smiling back. Are you planning on coming back to school today, Jasper? No, I think I'll hang with Lucy, he said, looking down sheepishly at her. Alright, well I'm going to leave you sex addicts alone. Later, I said before closing the door. Bye Emmett, Lucy said cheerfully. Lucky guy, Bella's P.O.V. I have to do this. I have to talk to Edward. I have to know what's going on between us. I have to know who this Jane is. I can do this. I kept telling myself this as I walked to Edward's house, taking deep breaths and trying not to faint. You can do it, Bella. Just believe in yourself. You can do it, I said as I stepped onto his front porch. I knocked on the door. I can't do this. Run, Bella. Run before the dew. Hello, Edward's mother greeted as she opened the door. Hi, I was wondering if Edward was home. I managed to say. Of course, he's right upstairs, first door on the left. She smiled, welcoming me inside. I quickly walked in the door and made my way up the stairs. There's no turning back now, Bella, you can do it. Once I was up the stairs, I made my way to the left and knocked lightly on the door. No answer. Oh, guess he's not there. Can't go now. Oh, shut up, would ya? Just go, Bella. I took another deep breath, and then opened the door. My eyes widened with shock. Edward and Jane, making out, half naked. Twitch. Edward, I said, my voice shaky. Once Edward recognized my voice he stopped. Bella, he whispered, out of breath. I looked back and forth from Jane to Edward. Edward's hand was on her ass. Twitch. Her right hand in his pants. Twitch. Her bra on the floor. Snap. Edward Cullen, what the fuck is your problem? Oh yeah, that's right, I used the word fuck. I thought you and I were dating. And now you're cheating on me? First it was with Jessica, and now this whore? Yeah, that's right, I used whore. Edward Cullen, I was mad when I saw you with Jessica in your arms. I was mad when you didn't even bother coming to talk to me about it. I was mad when I saw you hugging Jane. But now, I am furious. How could you even think of doing this to me? I have done nothing but give you all my love. But you know what? I guess that's not enough. I guess I'm not the type of girl you want. I shouted, tears falling on my face. I guess it's true what the people at school say. Edward Cullen only goes for the whores. I finished. Edward and Jane stared at me with wide eyes. I looked at them once over, and left. I've been hanging with Rose too much. Edward's P.O.V. I sat there on my bed. Jane next to me. My mouth was wide open, as were my eyes. Had Bella really just done that? I had never seen her like this. The anger in her voice, the hurt in her eyes. Did I really just go for the whores? What a bitch, Jane scoffed. Come on, Edward, let's go back to what we were doing. She purred. No, Jane, I think you should go. I need to think about something. I told her. Edward, are you seriously going to let that bitch get to you? She asked. She's not a bitch. Now leave. I told her again. She rolled her eyes and got up. Whatever, Edward, she said as she put her clothes on. Once she was done, she slammed the door open. I sighed. I let myself fall on the bed, wondering why I was such an idiot. Ring ring. Hello? I said into the phone. Edward, it's Emmett. What a want? I asked, not wanting to listen to his stupidness. Just wanted to know if you wanted to hang or something. He wondered. Nah, I gotta think of stuff. Why don't you ask Jasper? I suggested. He's too busy having sex with some Lucy chick. She's hot, he said. Jasper was having sex with Lucy? Yeah, well, I can't. Bye. I hung up before Emmett could say anything. I sighed again. Bella's words couldn't come get of my head. Why am I such a fuck up? Jasper's P.O.V. I laid in my bed, my arm wrapped around Lucy. I looked down at her. She was sleeping like an angel. Alice. Oh shit, I shouted, jumping out of my bed. Lucy awakened from her sleep. What's wrong, Jasper? She asked, alarmed. Listen. What happened between us today? You cannot tell anyone about it, got it? I told her. She nodded her head. What time is it? She asked. 5:30. I replied. I have to go. I told Jane I'd meet her at the park. She said as she got out of my bed. All right, I said, not really caring. Bye, she said, getting on her tippy toes and giving me a peck. Once she was gone, I ran to the shower. Once I was done, I quickly put on my clothes and left my house. I had to find Alice. I ran to the Burger Palace. She was there. Alice, I shouted as I ran towards her. Jasper, she squealed. Once we got to each other, she jumped into my arms. I lifted her chin and gave her a quick kiss on the lips. Come sit with us, Alice chirped, pulling me towards her table, where sat Rose. Hey Rosalie, I greeted her. Hey, she greeted back. I sat down across Rosalie, pulling Alice onto my lap. Suddenly, a very pissed off looking Bella slammed the door open of the Burger Palace. She stomped her way to us. What's wrong, Bella? Alice asked. What's wrong? What's wrong? What's wrong? Alice, is that I just walked in on Edward and Jane's half-naked makeout session, that's what's wrong. She nearly shouted. Suddenly she collapsed next to Rose, tears running down her face. Oh Bella, Rose said, hugging Bella, I am so over him. She scoffed. We sat there quietly for a moment. Hey guys, Emmett boomed. Oh man, am I starved. Oh Jasper, I saw Lucy at the park. Apparently you are a sex machine. Emmett said before wolfing down a burger. Suddenly everyone sitting at the table stiffened. Oh shit, Emmett whispered, realizing what he had just said. I looked at Alice. She was looking straight ahead. Suddenly, her little hand reached for Emmett's large Coke, and suddenly it had found itself all over me. I hate you, Alice stuttered before leaving. Rose and Bella soon followed her. I'm so sorry, man, Emmett apologized. I sighed. She was going to find out sooner or later. Alice's P.O.V. Fuck him, Alice. Oh wait, that's Luce's job. You don't need him, Alice. I told myself. How could he do this to me? I shook my head, not wanting to think of this anymore. God, I can't wait for this weekend. I said. Me either, there has been way too much drama. Bella sighed. Girls, don't be sad. I know you guys are totally pissed at the guys. Which you so should be. But you know what? After all of this, I think you girls can do better. Which is why when we are in Port Angeles, we are going to find you girls boyfriends. And not shitty ones like Dumb and Dumber, but real ones. Ones that won't cheat on you with Barbie dolls. Got it? Rosalie told us. I looked over at Bella. You're right, Bella, I said, smiling. Yeah, Alice, we can do so much better than Edward and Jasper. Bella said, getting more excited about the idea. Then it's settled. Operation Get Bella and Alice Boyfriends is a go. Rose established with a smile. This was going to be interesting. Bella's P.O.V. After a couple days of horror at school, it was finally the long weekend everyone was waiting for. And that meant that the Blue Babes and I were going to Port Angeles for a weekend of shopping for clothes, but also for guys. As Rosalie would say, it was Friday. The girls and I had been up since 9 a.m. packing our things, and hopefully getting on the road by 3 p.m. Luckily we finished an hour early. You girls ready? Alice asked, trying to close the trunk door. Rosalie laughed and walked over to Alice and helped her. Yep, I think we are ready, she said, closing the trunk. Show off, Alice muttered jokingly. Alright, well let's get this party started, I said, getting into the driver's seat. Alice and Rosalie jumped into the car. Port Angeles, I started. Here we come, the girls and I shouted together. We all laughed as I stomped on the gas pedal. Boys in Port Angeles. Here we come, Edward's P.O.V. I sighed. Jasper, Emmett and I all sat in my room, bored on our first day of vacation. What do you guys want to do? I asked, breaking the silence. I dunno, what do you want to do? Emmett asked again. I looked at him and threw a shoe that was next to me. Hey, he shouted. Guys, we gotta find something to do this weekend. I told them. Well, I told Lucy I'd bring her to Port Angeles, but I haven't seen her in a while, Jasper sighed. Yeah, I haven't seen Jane in a while as well, I realized. We should go to Port Angeles. It would be great to get out of here, Emmett said. We could even leave today. Jasper agreed. So we are going to Port Angeles? I asked for confirmation. Looks like it, Emmett boomed, getting up. Jasper and Emmett soon left to go home and pack their things. Knowing it would take long, we said to meet back at my house at 2 p.m. As I was packing my things, the phone rang. Hello, I said into the phone. Edward, it's me, Jane, Jane said. Oh hey Jane, what's up? I have to talk to you, she told me. Oh well, can we talk now? I asked her. Yeah, I'll be over in a second, she said before hanging up. I stopped for a minute, wondering what was wrong. After snapping out of it, I ran downstairs and waited for Jane to come. She wasn't kidding when she said a second. She was just turning the corner of my street. Once she was on my lawn, she gave me a quick hug. Hi, she said, forcing a smile. Hey, so what is it you want to talk about? I asked. She sighed and looked at me in the eyes. After a long pause, she answered. I think I'm bisexual, she said. I looked at her, stunned. Why do you think that? I asked, stuttering a little. Well, Lucy and I kinda, well, kissed. And I liked it, Edward, she replied. I looked at her again. Oh no, you're mad, she said, frowning. Of course not. I'm proud of you, Jane. And I'm happy you told me, I said, giving her another hug. You still want to be my friend? She asked. Of course, I whispered. Good, she smiled. So, has Lucy told Jasper? I think she just did or is about to, I'm not sure. Oh, when did all of this happen anyway? Well, you know, Lucy and I have been talking a lot and hanging out and stuff. And I guess it just clicked, Jane explained. Well, that's good, I laughed. Yeah, it is, she trailed off, smiling. We stood there for a moment in silence. Well, listen, I'm really happy for you, but I have to go inside, so I'll talk to you later, okay? Okay, bye Edward, and thanks, she said before walking away. Bye, I said, watching her leave. 30 minutes later, the guys were back at my house and putting our bags in the car. Well, that's the last of him, Emmett said, clapping his hands. Yep, you guys want to hit the road? Jasper asked. Yep, let's do this, I said, getting into the car. Once we were on the road, I started to wonder if Lucy had told Jasper about her and Jane. So Jasper, did you talk to Lucy before leaving? I asked. Yeah, did you talk to Jane? He asked in return. Yep, I said. Oh well, now we can focus on getting Alice and Bella back, right? Jasper said. Wait, what happened to Lucy and Jane? Emmett asked. They're bisexual and dating, I informed Emmett. That is so hot, he replied. Jasper smacked Emmett behind his head. Ow, where are they anyway? Apparently no one has seen them. They are gone to Port Angeles. Rose told me, Emmett said, oblivious of what he just told us. Are you fucking serious? Jasper shouted. Yeah, why? Emmett asked. How did this guy get into high school? Edward, we gotta find them and get them back. Jasper told me. Yeah, but how? I asked him. I don't know, but we will find a way. He reassured me. Whatever, as long as I get Bella back, I don't care. I sighed. This was going to be interesting. Bella's POV. After 2 hours of driving, we were finally in Port Angeles. The girls and I were extremely excited. Port Angeles was so different compared to Forks. Once we found our hotel, we booked in and put all our bags in the room. The room was gorgeous. Rosal, i.e., had managed to get us a club suite because her father was a member of the club. Whoa, this room is amazing. Alice squealed once we got in the room. It was really big. We each had our own little room and bathrooms. A main room and a little kitchen. It's like having our own apartment. I commented. I call this room. Alice called from the first door on the left. I call this one. Rose called from the right, which left me with the room in the far back. Once I got in, I gasped. It was beautiful. Everything was colored white and red. Flowers, bed sheets, pillows, paintings, everything. Wish my room was like this. Blue babes meeting. Rose shouted. Alice screamed in joy as she ran to the living room. I laughed as I joined them. Once we were all sitting on the couch, Rose started. All right, so as you girls know, we need to find you girls men. Which is why, tonight, we are going to the hottest club in Port Angeles, Seduction. A.N. I actually made that up, so don't go to Port Angeles trying to find it. XD, and there we will get you guys some hot sexy ass boyfriends. Got it, she said. One thing, we aren't old enough, I pointed out. This club is for people over 16, Bella. And Lucius, we are 17. She replied. Oh, can we go shopping for dresses? Alice asked, jumping up and down. Of course, let's go now, Rose said, getting up. Shopping, Alice shouted. I laughed at my friends. They could be so weird sometimes. But then again, everyone is. Edward's POV. After 2.5 hours of driving, it would have taken us 2 hours if it wasn't for the busted tire. We were finally in Port Angeles. Not that it seemed like a change. The girls still drooled at us. The guys still glared at us as their girlfriends checked us out. Once we got to our hotel, we checked in and went to our room. Our room was alright, nothing great, 1 bedroom with 2 beds, a living room and a little kitchen. It was pretty good. Once we were done unpacking, we met in the kitchen. So now what? I asked. Well, right now, I'm not sure. But tonight, we can check out this hot club called Seduction. I hear it's great, Jasper informed us. Sure, but what do we do till then? Sleep, Emmett replied, making his way to the bedroom. I guess we can hang here for a while. Jasper sighed. Yeah, I said. Bella's POV. After 5 hours of shopping, we finally found our dresses. Rosalie had bought a short red strapless dress with flowers on it. She also bought black heels. Alice bought a brown dress. The top was a corset, and the bottom was puffy. She also bought black heels. I bought a dark blue dress with flower patterns on it. Once the girls and I got back to our hotel room, we quickly got changed, did our makeup and hair. All right, girls, I think we are ready, Rosalie announced. Last minute check, Alice shouted. We quickly looked over each other once, checking to see if everything was fine. Once we were done, we left the hotel room and made our way to the club. Once we got to the club, we waited in line. Lot of people, Alice said. Well, it is a club. I sighed. The more guys, the more choices for your boyfriends. Rose said. Finally, we were next in line. We showed our student ID cards to the bouncers. Once they were done checking, they let us in. Girls, Operation New Boyfriends is a go, Rose announced once we were in the club. Edward's POV. After 5 hours of sleeping, the guys and I finally decided it was time to go to the club. Once we got there, we noticed there were a lot of people. As usual, all the girls were looking at us, winking and trying to look seductive. I rolled my eyes at their pathetic attempts. Once it was our turn, we showed the bouncers our ID. After they were done checking, they let us in. Once we got in the club, we noticed there were about 5 times more people in here than there was outside. Now what? I shouted over the music. We party, Emmett boomed. Soon Emmett was on the dance floor, grinding with some girls. Alice's POV. Rose, Bella and I walked around, trying to find a table to sit down for and order drinks. Once we found one, we sat down and ordered our drinks. This place is crazy, I shouted over the music. I know, I love it, Rose laughed. Listen, I'm going to go to the bathroom, okay? I'll be right back, I told them. I got up. Suddenly I felt a hand on my arm. Do you want me to come with you? Bella asked. No, it's fine. I smiled at her. Once I left the table, I walked through the crowd, trying to find the bathroom. I saw a door on the other side of the club and decided to go check it out. Maybe it was the bathroom. Once I got there, I opened the door. There was a young man sitting there alone. He turned around. He had beautiful green eyes, the color of perfect grass. His hair was dark brown. His features amazing. Hello, he said, his voice angle-like. Hi, I managed to say. Would you like to play? He asked. Play what? I was confused. Poker, he replied. Oh, I'm not sure I started. Come on, just one game. He winked. Okay, I said, making my way to the empty seat across him. He quickly dealt the cards. My hands started to sweat. I had only played poker twice in my life. Both times I had lost. Once he was done dealing the cards, he looked at his cards. Once he was done looking, he placed them on the table and threw 5 red chips in the middle of the table. He watched me carefully. Shit, what do I do now? I looked at my cards. Is this a good hand or not? I slowly placed 5 chips in the middle of the table. Flip? He asked. I nodded. At the same time, we flipped our cards. He studied them carefully. Good job, he told me, pushing the chips towards me. I smiled in triumph. How about we make things interesting? He asked. How? What about we play strip poker? He asked suggestively. I looked at him. Should I do this? His eyes were locked on mine. Sure, I heard myself say. He smirked and started shuffling the cards again. Once he was done, he went through the same process he did last time. Once he put his chips in, I put in mine. Flip, he said. Once we flipped, he looked at our cards again. You lose. That will be 1 article of clothing. He smirked again. Slowly I took my left shoe off and placed it on the table. 20 minutes later, I found myself with only my dress on. He had everything of mine except my dress and my bra, which I assumed he wanted next. What have I gotten myself into? Jasper's P.O.V. Edward and I sat down as we watched Emmett grind every girl that came up to him. I sighed. It had only been 25 minutes since we got here. I'm going to the bathroom, I told Edward. All he did was nod. I quickly made my way through the crowd, trying to locate the bathroom. I saw a door and decided to check if it was the bathroom. Once I got to the door, I opened it, and saw a terrible sight. There sat little Alice, tears filling her eyes. I looked down at the table and noticed many articles of girl clothing. Alice's head shot up once she had the door open. Jasper, she gasped. Alice, I whispered. I quickly ran to her and helped her up. Hey, where do you think you're taking her? Can't you see we are playing a game? Some guy said. Fuck off. I growled at him, before pulling Alice out of the room. I dodged through the crowd with Alice beside me. Once we got outside, I pulled her into my arms. Alice, what happened? I asked her. Oh, Jasper, it was terrible. First we were just playing poker, and then he decided to play strip poker, and took everything but my dress and bra. She said, sobbing. I tightened my grip around her. Come on, let's get you back to the hotel, I said to her. I took my jacket off and gave it to Alice. As we walked, Alice cuddled to my side. I kissed her hair and reassured her. It hurt seeing Alice like this, especially after what I had done. I love you, Jasper, I suddenly heard Alice's voice whisper. I looked down at her. She was looking at me. I leaned down and kissed her on the lips. Our lips moved together. I love you, Alice, with all my heart. And I'm so sorry about the Lucy thing, I murmured against her lips. We kissed again. Promise me you won't do it again, she asked, our lips still together. I promise, I whispered back, kissing her again. After we kissed one more time, we walked back to the hotel. I told Alice about the Jane and Lucy thing. She laughed and smiled. Now this felt right. Bella's P.O.V. I looked around the club. Alice had now been gone for the past 20 minutes. Where's Alice? I asked Rose. I don't know, want to go look for her, Rose replied. I nodded my head and got up. We went around the room and looked around, squeezing past people. Suddenly I bumped into a huge muscular guy. Sorry, I shouted over the music. When the guy turned around, I felt the blood drain from my face. Emmett? I asked. Bella? Bella, hey, what's up? He said, pulling me into a bear hug. What are you doing here? I asked him. I'm here with Edward and Jasper, he shouted. I looked over his shoulder and saw Edward walking over to us. Emmett, Rosalie squealed, jumping into his arms. Hey Bella, Edward saw to me once he got to us. Hi, I replied. Have you guys seen Alice? Rose asked, still in Emmett's arms. I think I saw her and Jasper leave. Edward replied. Yeah, she looked pretty bummed. Emmett added. Rose and I looked at each other. Maybe she's at the hotel room. I suggested. Let's go check. Rose said. We'll come. Edward sighed. I nodded. I didn't really care. We had to find Alice. Quickly we made our way through the crowd. I got hit a couple of times, almost falling. Luckily Edward was there to help me. Once we were outside, we made our way to the hotel. Emmett and Rose were walking in front of Edward and I. So, he said awkwardly. Yeah, Bella. I am so sorry. He told me, stopping in front of me and taking my hands. I looked at him in the eyes. It was the biggest mistake of my life. I realized that life without you, it just doesn't seem right, he continued. His eyes were filled with pain. I could tell he actually meant what he was saying. What about Jane? I asked. Edward turned around and started walking again, holding my hand. She's bisexual and dating Lucy. He told me. No way, I shouted. Emmett and Rose turned around. Confused expressions on their faces. I smiled at them. They turned back. Yep, Edward laughed. Well, that was unexpected, I said. So is this, he said before pressing his lips to mine. I moaned. It felt so good to have his lips back to mine. I love you, Bella. Please, forgive me and I will never do it again. He whispered. I forgive you, Edward. I love you too, I replied. We SMI led at each other and walked into the hotel. We quickly got into the elevator and pressed the button to our flower. Once we were on our flower, we quickly made our way to our room. Rose took the key out of her pocket and slipped it through the keypad. Once it was accepted, we walked into the room, where sat Jasper and Alice, cuddled together on the couch watching TV. Well, hello lover birds. Rose greeted once we got into the room. Alice jumped. Rose, Bella, she squealed as she jumped up from the couch and ran to give us a hug. Where were you? We were worried sick, I asked. Well, let's just say I lost the game, many times, she said, leaving it like that. Rose and I looked at each other. Come join us, Alice chirped, sitting on the couch again. Rose and I took the boys' hands and pulled them over to the living room. We all sat down together, smiles on our faces. I looked at Alice in the light now. Her eye makeup was smudged. I made a mental note to remember to ask her what was wrong. But I wasn't going to ask now. I wanted to keep this moment perfect, as it already was. Bella's POV. I woke up the next morning to a flash of light. My eyes opened wide in shock. There stood Alice with a camera in her hand. Alice, what are you doing? I asked, yawning. Well, there's a storm outside, and there's nothing on TV. So I decided to take pictures. And you are my latest model, she replied, grinning. I narrowed my eyes at her. But now that you're awake, what do you want to do? I don't know what to do, Alice blurted. Can't you go bother Rose? I groaned, pulling a pillow on my head, which Alice quickly took away. I don't know where she is. She isn't here, Alice informed me. She's probably with Emmett. Why don't you go check? Are you trying to get rid of me? She asked. Yes, I said, jokingly. In response, she stuck her tongue out at me. Last night, your making was all smudged. What was that about? I asked her, changing the subject. Something, she replied. I narrowed my eyes at her. Fine, I was playing poker with some guy and then we played strip poker and he got everything except my bra and dress. Happy? She told me. My mouth opened. Oh my God, Alice, why didn't you leave? I asked her, hugging her. I was scared, Bella. He could have raped me if I tried leaving. And you don't think that after he had all your clothes he wouldn't do that? I shouted. Well, luckily Jasper came to my rescue. She huffed. We sat there for a moment in silence. Suddenly Alice smirked. Did Edward tell you about Lucy and Jane? She asked. I looked at her, also smirking. Yeah, we started laughing. I would have never guessed, I said, between laughs. Funny how Lucy realized that she was bi after she had sex with Jasper. Alice said. We stopped laughing for a minute. Is he really that bad in bed? I asked Alice, which caused her to go into another fit of giggles. I smiled and waited for her to finish. So, has Edward made it up to you? She asked, once her giggles were done. What do you mean? I asked, confused. Did he do anything so that you would take him back? Like Jasper did, she said, getting up and walking into the kitchen. Well, no, I said. Really? Whoa, loser alert, she said, getting herself a drink of water. Alice, I scowled. So what if Edward hadn't done anything to make it up for me? He apologized and that's what counts. Sorry, would you like a drink as well? She asked. I rolled my eyes. I'm not taking about that. And yes, I want a glass of water, Please. I said. Alice poured me a glass of water and handed it to me. Listen, Bella, if Edward hasn't done anything to make it up to you, how do you know he really loves you? She asked. How do you know Jasper really loves you? I shot back. Bella, he saved me from getting raped by a stranger. I'm pretty sure he loves me. She replied. Listen, Alice, Edward doesn't have to do anything but respect me to have my love, and I have to show him respect so I can have his love. Oh yeah, 'cause nothing says respect like cheating. Anyway, I'm to go change, Alice said, making her way to her room. I sat on the counter and took a sip of my water. Was she right? Did Edward really love me? Rosalie's P.O.V. A sudden boom woke me from my dream. A perfect dream. I was with Emmett, sleeping next to him, our clothes on the ground. I opened my eyes and noticed that I was sleeping next to him. I guess dreams do come true. Morning, I whispered, kissing his lips lightly. His eyes slowly opened. Once he realized it was me, he smiled and kissed me. Morning, babe, he said, his voice sleepy. Morning, lovebirds. Jasper's voice suddenly rang. I looked up and saw Jasper and Edward standing in front of us, smirking. Hello, Dumb and Dumber, I replied, smiling. They rolled their eyes at the same time. Listen, Rose, we don't mind you sleeping here, but next time you two decided to get busy in bed, give us a warning so we can leave, got it? Edward warned. Yeah, now get out, Emmett said, getting out of bed. Edward and Jasper covered their eyes as Emmett's naked body was not covered. Scarred, Jasper shouted dramatically. Edward laughed and left the room, followed by Jasper. Remind me again how you were friends with them. I sighed, getting out of bed. No idea, he replied. Once we were done getting changed, we joined Edward and Emmett in the kitchen. So what's the plan for today? Emmett asked. No idea, Edward replied. I know your plan for today, Edward. I told him. Huh? He asked, confused. Today, you are going to make it up to Bella. I said matter-of-factually. For what? For cheating on her, you bonehead. I said. How am I going to do that? He asked. I have an idea, but we are going to need to buy a lot of things. I told him. Is it going to make her happy? Totally. Let's do it. He sighed. I smiled and told him the plan. Once he agreed to it, we started to get ready. Emmett, Jasper, you guys are going to have to keep Bella and Alice busy. Why Alice? Jasper asked. 'Cause, if she found out about this, she would freak out and probably tell Bella by mistake. I told him. Alright, well, we are going to go see them. When should you guys be done? I looked at the clock. It was 11:30 a.m. Around 6. I told him. It's going to take that long? Edward asked in disbelief. I shot him a glare. Alright, let's go. He sighed and opened the door. Bye. Love you, I said to Emmett, giving him a quick peck. Love you. This was going to be perfect. Bella's P.O.V. So, what do you want to do today? Alice asked, as she entered my room. I'm not sure. What do you want to do? No idea. She sighed. Suddenly there was a knock on the door. I'll get it, we said at the same time. Alice and I looked at each other and smirked, and soon we were both racing to the door. We got there at the same time and started pushing each other, laughing. I pushed Alice with my hip, causing her to fall down, laughing. I smiled and opened the door. Jasper and Emmett stood there with confused expressions on their faces. Hey guys, I greeted them. Hey, Alice, what are you doing on the floor? Jasper asked, chuckling a little as he walked over and helped her up. Bella pushed me, she said childishly. Did not. I defended myself, laughing. Where are Rose and Edward? Alice asked, noticing they were not here. They had to go do stuff, Jasper replied, pulling Alice into his arms. What stuff? I asked, curious. Not sure. They didn't tell us. But whatever. What do you girls want to do today? Emmett asked, changing the topic. Not sure, I said. Let's go bowling, Alice said suddenly. Bowling? Jasper asked, making sure he heard her correctly. Yeah, I haven't gone bowling in so long, Alice said, jumping up and down. Sounds good to me. You guys? I asked. Why not? Not like we got anything better to do. Emmett shrugged. Let's go, Alice shouted, running to the door. We quickly ran to catch up with Alice. Once we were downstairs, we went to the service desk and asked there where we could find a bowling alley. They quickly told us the fastest way to get to one. Apparently it was a very popular bowling alley. After getting a taxis, we finally got to Bowling Disco. Once we got inside, the place was huge. It had many bowling lanes, many disco lights, a bar. Everything. After we got our lane, we quickly put on our bowling shoes and started to bowl. Emmett was first. As I had guessed, he got many strikes. After Emmett, it was Alice's turn. Alice had a lot of trouble throwing the ball, until Jasper came and helped her. They laughed together and danced when they got a strike. I smiled at how happy they looked. After Alice, it was my turn. I picked up a ball and looked at the pins. Once I was done looking at them and trying to get the perfect aim, I took a few steps back and then threw the ball. Of course, being me, I fell, and the ball went into the gutter. After that, the rest of my balls either hit a couple or went into the gutter. Jasper seemed to have no trouble getting strikes. After Jasper, it was Emmett's turn once more. As Emmett was about to throw the ball, Alice sneaked up behind him and grabbed the ball. "Hey!" Emmett shouted. Alice laughed and started to run with the ball. Emmett, quickly star, Ted running after her and caught her in his arms. She started giggling and kicking her legs in the air. Emmett walked back towards us, his arms wrapped around Alice's body. Surprisingly, once he got to us, he didn't stop, and soon he was walking up the bowling lane. Once he got to the end of it, he whispered something into Alice's ear. Alice laughed and kicked the pins down. "Woo!" they shouted, laughing. Emmett carefully placed Alice back to the ground and started walking back to us, startled by Alice jumping onto his back. I laughed at Alice's childlike behavior. After 2 hours of bowling, we decided to go back to the hotel and just hang out. Rosalie's P.O.V. After 6 hours of trying to find everything we needed for Edward's make it up to Bella, we had finally found everything. After we were done, we quickly made our way back to the hotel room. Edward and I quickly put everything together. We only had half an hour left. "Done," I shouted. Finally, Edward sighed. We had 15 minutes left. "All right, go take a quick shower and get ready, okay?" I said. "Got it, thanks Rose," he said, giving me a hug. "Just trying to help," I said, smiling. "Good luck," I said before leaving. "This plan better work." Bella's P.O.V. After the bowling was finally done, we took a taxi back to the hotel. Once we were back, we hung out and talked for a while. At 6 o'clock, Rosalie barged in the door. "Hey guys," she said, a big grin plastered on her face. "Hey Rose," we all said. Emmett quickly got up and gave her a quick kiss on the lips. "Oh, Bella, Edward told me to tell you to EET him in the guys' room," Rosalie informed me. "Did he say why?" I asked, confused. "No, but he said to tell you as soon as I got here," she replied. "Okay," I said, getting up. "I guess I'll see you guys later," I said before leaving. Once I closed the door behind me, I walked to the elevators. Once the elevator got to my level, I quickly stepped inside and pressed the button to Edward's floor. I wonder what he wants. Did I do something wrong? Is he mad at me? I mean, why else would he want to talk to me alone for? Wait, maybe he just wants to talk. Yeah, right. Ding. I quickly snapped out of my thoughts as the elevator doors opened. Once I was in the hallway, I made my way to Edward's room. It was the last one on the right. Once I got there, I took a deep breath and knocked. I waited quietly, biting my nail, which I only did when I was nervous. "Calm down, Bella, it will be fine." The door opened. I gasped and put my hand down. Edward looked even more gorgeous than he usually did. His topaz eyes were sparkling. His hair was shiny, and he was wearing a tux. "Wait, a tux? Hello, Bella, come in," he greeted, flashing me his crooked smile. I nodded my head, too dazzled to say anything. I slowly stepped into the room. My mouth fell open. The room was beautiful. It had rose petals everywhere. The air smelled like roses and violets, and the room was lighted dimly with candles. "Edward, what's going on?" I managed to say. "I thought it would be nice if we could have dinner together, alone." His velvet voice replied. I suddenly felt a pair of long arms wrap themselves around my waist. His breath hit my neck. I couldn't breathe. "Why didn't you tell me? I would have dressed nicer." "Shush, Bella, I wanted it to be a surprise," he whispered softly. "Come, let's sit," he said, wrapping his arms from my waist and taking my hand, leading me towards the patio. Once we were outside, there was a table set for two, rose petals around it, and a candle in the middle. Once again, I couldn't help but to gasp. Edward led me to a chair, and pulled it out for me, like a gentleman. I slowly sat down, still shocked in amazement. Once I was seated, Edward made his way across the table and sat down. "You look beautiful," he complimented. "Yeah, well, compared to you, I look like a bum on the streets." I laughed nervously. Obviously my nervousness was showing. There's nothing to be nervous about, Bella. I nodded my head. He was right. There was nothing to be nervous about. I took a sip of my water, when suddenly there was a knock at the door. Excuse me for a moment. Edward sighed, getting up from his seat. Once Edward was gone to open the door, I took a deep breath. I had never felt anything like this before. I took another sip of my water, trying to calm myself down. Suddenly, the chair in front of me pulled back, and Edward sat back down. Dinner is here, he told me. 2 plates suddenly appeared in front of us. I looked up and saw a tall man with a chef hat. Enjoy, he said, smiling, after he was done serving us our plates, before he left. I looked down on my plate of mushroom ravioli, my favorite. How did he know? I would like to propose a toast to us. Edward sighed, lifting his glass up. I lifted my glass up and tapped it against his, and then took a sip. Enjoy, he said, before taking a bit of his meal, which was also mushroom ravioli. Edward, this is amazing, I told him, before taking a bit of my dinner. Well, I can't take all the credit. Rosalie did help me plan all of this. He admitted, that's why you guys weren't with us. I realized, yes, he chuckled, it's still amazing, I'm having a great time. I'm glad you're having a great time, but this is only the first part. He informed me, there's more? I asked, shocked. Yes, he said, we left it like that. The rest of our dinner, we ate quietly, making small talk every once in a while. But it didn't feel awkward. Once we were done our dinner, Edward got up, and helped me get up. Now what? I asked. You'll see, he replied, winking. I blushed. Edward took my hand and led me to the door, stopped for a second to grab a bag. Once we were out of the hotel room, we went downstairs, and out of the hotel. It was nice outside. We walked for about 20 minutes until we stopped at a soccer field. What are we doing here? I asked Edward. Edward dropped the bag on the ground. He beamed down and zipped the bag open and took out a soccer ball. Though we could play a game of soccer after dinner, he said, but I can't play in jeans, and you can't play in a tux. I told him. He smiled and pulled 2 shirts and 2 pairs of shorts. How did you get those? I asked. Rose, he simply replied. Where do we change? There are 2 bathrooms over there, he said, pointing to the 2 bathrooms. Race ya there, I said, already starting to run. Hey, he laughed, as he started to run. He quickly caught up, we both started laughing, still running. Once we got to the bathroom, we went our own way and changed. Once we were done changing, we made our way to the field. Alright, since you are the lady, you can start with the ball. Edward sighed, giving me the ball. Alright, but you better get ready to lose, I said, putting the ball down. Once the ball was down, I went into game mode. I fake kicked the ball, which made Edward look to the left. I quickly made my move and dodged him. Running with the ball, I ran toward the net. I heard Edward's footsteps coming closer and closer. I ran faster. Once I got close to the net, I kicked the ball. It hit the post. No, I shouted. Yes, Edward shouted. I quickly glared at him before he got the ball. Once Edward got the ball, his feet started to move quickly. He started making his way towards me. Once he was just about to pass me. I threw myself at him, but I was too slow. I found myself on the ground. I quickly tried to get up, but tripped on my feet. Once I was up, it was too late. Edward had already scored a goal. He was doing a victory dance. I rolled my eyes at him and got the ball. Once I had the ball, I started to think of a plan. Once I had my plan in my head, I put it into action. I started to run as fast as I could. Edward was no doubt near me. I could hear his footsteps making their way towards me. Once they were really close, I bent down to get the ball, but apparently he was closer than I had assumed. Because we soon both found ourselves on the ground. I looked at him and started to laugh. He soon started to laugh with me. Suddenly, his arms wrapped around me and pulled me towards him. He buried his face into my hair. Are you still having a good time? He asked me. I turned my head to face his face. Yes, I whispered before pressing my lips to his. Our lips moved together like one. He lightly bit my lower lip, begging for an entrance. I slowly opened my mouth, taunting him. He grew a little impatient and forced it open. I moaned in delight. This had been amazing. I had never felt anything like it before. He slowly pulled his head away. I pouted, displeased that the kiss had already ended. I wanted to apologize for the whole Jane thing. He whispered, "It hurt so much, Edward." I said, "I know, which is why I wanted to make it up to you tonight." I couldn't help but to laugh at that comment. He looked at me confused. I'm sorry, it's just Alice was L king to me about make it up this morning. I informed him. Do you forgive me? He asked. On one condition. I said, anything. You won't ever do it again. And if anyone asks, I won the game. I said, smiling. Promise. And that's 2 conditions. He chuckled. He pressed his lips back to mine, giving me a quick peck. Do you want to go back? He questioned. No, I'm comfortable right here. I replied, snuggling against his body. He chucked and kissed the top of my head. What a perfect night. Rosalie's P.O.V. I sat at the end of the couch, taping my finger against the coffee table beside me. I sighed heavily. Even though I should be happy, Edward and Bella are still not back from their date, I couldn't help but to feel nervous. Don't be nervous, Rose. I'm sure everything went perfectly, Emmett whispered, giving me a light kiss on the cheek. Alice, although the farthest from us, heard Emmett. Can someone please tell me what is going on here? She shouted from Jasper's lap. Edward took Bella out on a date tonight, and Rosalie helped Edward plan it, which is why Rosalie is nervous and anxious. She wants to know if the date went well. Jasper informed her calmly. Why didn't you tell me? I would have helped. Alice shouted once again, jumping from Jasper's lap. Because, knowing you, Alice, you would have told Bella. I told her. No, she defended herself, as Jasper pulled her back on his lap. Yes. Remember that time you and Bella were going to throw me a surprise party, but you ended telling me the day of the party. I reminded her. Oh, she replied, sinking lower in Jasper's arms. I rolled my eyes, when suddenly the door opened. I jumped up from my seat. Edward and Bella came in through the door, covered in dirt, laughing. Oh, hello everyone, Bella managed to say between laughs. Late date? I smirked. Sorry, I didn't know she had a curfew. Edward joked, kissing Bella on the top of her head, which caused Bella to giggle. Oh my God, did you guys have fun? What did you do? Tell me everything, Alice chirped, running to Bella. We had dinner and played soccer. Edward replied simply. Alice frowned. I knew she wanted more details. So now what? Emmett asked. I want to go somewhere, Alice announced. Where? Jasper asked. I don't know. Well, I'm tired, so I think I'm going to stay here, Bella said, making her way to the couch. Yeah, I'm going to stay here, I agreed. Edward and Emmett shook their head in agreement. Fine, I'm going for a walk, Jasper, Alice said, making her way to the door. Jasper sighed and made his way to the door, following Alice. Alice's P.O.V. Once Jasper and I were out of the hotel, we started walking, not sure of where we were going. Jasper took my hand and kissed it. I looked up at him and smiled. Where are we going? He asked. Not sure, I admitted. We walked in silence, enjoying each other's company. Suddenly, Jasper stopped. I heard a low growl escape from his lips. What's wrong? I asked him. He ignored my question. I looked over to where Jasper's eyes were locked on. Oh no. Sam, Quill, Paul and Embry, also known as the P-Wolves, made their way towards us. The P-Wolves were pretty much the enemies of the bad boys. They always caused fights with each other, ever since the beginning of high school, when Sam made fun of the bad boys. I knew this was going to be bad. Well, would y'all look at this. Bad boy Jasper Whitlock, Sam said, once we was close to us. Apparently, he was ignoring the fact that I was there. Shut up, Jasper growled. We haven't even done anything. Sam laughed. And who's this beautiful doll over here? He asked, nodding his head towards me. I stiffened. Alice, I stuttered. Sam took my hand and kissed it. I winced. Jasper placed himself between Sam and I. What do you want? Jasper hissed. Nothing, just making your life a live-in hell, as usual. Sam replied, smirking. Jasper pushed Sam. Sam was like a ticking bomb, and Jasper just triggered it. Sam took a swing to Jasper and hit him right in the eye. Jasper, I shouted. I ran between both of them. You're so pathetic, Sam. Don't you have something better to do? I said. I took Jasper's hand and started walking away. Come on, we are going to take you to the ER, I told him, pulling him. Alice, don't worry, I'm fine. He reassured me. Jasper, your eye is bleeding. I shouted. Alice, relax, we can just go to a clinic. We don't need to go to an ER, he told me. I nodded my head and started to try and hail a taxi. Once we got one, I told the driver to drive us to the nearest clinic. 10 minutes later, we arrived at the clinic. I quickly paid the taxi driver and walked into the clinic with Jasper. Hi, my friend's eye is bleeding. He got hit and we need to see a doctor. I said to the receptionist. All right, please take a seat and we will find a doctor for you in a moment. She replied, not even looking at us. Before I had a chance to protest that we needed right now, Jasper pulled me to a seat. Does it hurt? I asked him. A little, he said. I looked at him. We sat quietly for 20 minutes until finally, a doctor came. Hello, I'm Dr. Carlisle. Let's take a look at your eye. Doctor, Carlisle said. Dr. Carlisle was a very handsome man. He was tall, his hair was blonde, and his eyes were dark brown. I stared in awe. You must have taken quite a hit. Looks lick. We are going to have to stitch this cut up. He sighed. Jasper just nodded. I, on the other hand, was terribly nervous. I had never seen someone getting stitches. It made me quite nervous. Would you like to leave? Dr. Carlisle asked, obviously noticing how nervous I was. I think that would be a good idea, I said before leaving the room. Once I was out, I walked back to the reception room and sat down and waited. 10 minutes later, Jasper came out of Dr. Carlisle's office, smiling. I quickly got up and gave him a hug. How was it? Are you all right? I asked. Alice, I'm fine. Jasper laughed reassuringly. Jasper took my hand and led me out of the office. Once we were outside, he hailed a taxi and told the driver to drive us back to the hotel. Once we got to the hotel, we went back to the girls' room. Once we got in the room, everyone gasped in horror. Jasper, what the hell is wrong with your face? Emmett asked. The P-Wolves are here. Jasper muttered. What are they doing here? Edward hissed. Not sure. They did that to you? Oh, those guys are so fucking dead. Emmett shouted, getting up. Get back here, big boy. Rose ordered, pulling Emmett back on the couch. Jasper led me to the couch and sat down, pulling me down to his lap. I'm sorry about your eye. Bella said to Jasper. It's fine, Jasper reassured, giving us a smile. Where did you get the stitches? Edward asked. A local clinic. Dr. Carlisle helped me. He was very nice. That's good, Edward replied. Well, I'm going to bed. Night everyone, I said, getting up from Jasper's lap. I gave him a quick CK on the cheek and walked over to my room. Once I was in my room I heard movement from the other room, and then the door closing. I guess the guys all left. 20 minutes later, the hotel room was quiet. After washing my face and getting into my PJs, I curled myself into my bed and closed my eyes. Jessica's POV. This was lame. It was the long weekend and I had no plans. Leah, Lauren and I sat at a round table in the mall, sipping slushies, bored out of our minds. Girls, give me an update. I ordered. Well, Tyler and Jake are at football camp for the week. Mike is at science camp. The Blue Babes and Bad Boys are in Port Angeles, Lauren quickly listed off. Wait, did you just say the Blue Babes and Bad Boys are in Port Angeles? I asked, forgetting about the other things she had said. Lauren nodded her head. Didn't you say Alice's father paid you to keep them away from each other? I asked. She nodded her head again. I waited for them to realize what was going on. Hello, they are in Port Angeles together. Since we don't have anything better to do, why don't we go to Port Angeles and get proof that they are together? What's the point of that? Leah asked before taking a sip of her drink. If Alice's father sees that those two are hanging out, he will totally freak and send her to Alaska or something, and Jasper and I will start dating, and he will realize the Blue Babes are losers and he will tell Edward and Emmett to ditch them and go for you too, I explained. You really think that's going to work? Lauren asked, perking up. I came up with it. Of course it will work. I said. So what are we doing here? Let's go, Leah said. We quickly got up and ran to our houses. Once we were done packing, we got in my car and made our way to Port Angeles. Bella's POV. Thump. The sudden sound woke me up. I had no idea what it was. Maybe something broke? Oh no. I quickly got out of bed and ran out of my room. I ran to the kitchen, finding Alice there, setting up a table. Alice, what are you doing? I asked her. Making the table for breakfast, sleepyhead. She replied. Eggs are ready, Rose called out. Rose quickly placed all the eggs in the pan on our plates. I thought we were going to eat dinner with the guys at the hotel's restaurant. I said. Nah, beside, we want to know what happened between you and Edward last night. Alice said before taking a bite of her eggs. Edward already told you guys, we had dinner and played soccer. Details Bella. Fine, I grumbled. So, when I got there were flowers, candles, everything a girl would dream of for a date. We ate out on the patio, and this chef cooked us amazing mushroom ravioli. After that we went to a soccer field and played soccer, and I won. I told them. How romantic. Alice sighed. It was, I said. Thinking about last night. So, what are we doing today? Rose asked. Why don't we go swimming? I checked the weather network. Apparently it's going to be really nice today. Alice informed us. Sure. We quickly finished our breakfast. Once we were done, we called the boys' room and told them our plan for the day. They quickly agreed and told us to meet them at the pool at 1 o'clock. Today was going to be another perfect day in paradise. Jessica's P.O.V. I slammed the door of my house. After 4 days of looking in Port Angeles for Alice and Jasper, we didn't find them. I was furious. Why wasn't my plan working? I quickly ran to my room and slammed the door. Seth, my 2-year-old husky, was sitting on my bed. Seth, does the world hate me? I asked him, getting teary. Laying down on my bed next to him. He barked once and gave me kisses. Then why is God treating me like shit? I shouted, getting up and scaring Seth. I looked down at him and picked him up in my arms and gave him a kiss. I'm sorry, Seth, I shouldn't be taking all of this out on you. I told him. Suddenly reality hit. Oh my God, I really have lost it. Look at me, I'm talking to a dog. I shouted. Seth barked and jumped out of my arms and made his way to the door, where he sat and waited for me to open the door. I sighed and opened the door for him. A couple months later, Bella's P.O.V. The rest of our long weekend had gone by great. We decided to leave Port Angeles and go on a mini road trip. We stopped by random cities and just did anything we wanted to. I sighed happily as I reminisced of our trip a couple months back. Now, the school year was ending. There were only 3 weeks of school left. Prom was this Friday, which was the reason why Rose, Alice and I found ourselves back in Port Angeles. This time shopping for prom dresses. Would you pick a dress already, Alice? Rose groaned, snapping me back from my thoughts. We had been sitting in the same store for 2 hours straight, waiting for Alice to find her perfect dress. Luckily, this was our last stop before we could finally go home. Rose bought a red cocktail dress with flowers on it. I on the other hand went for a long black and white dress. Okay, I think I'm going to buy this one, Alice finally declared. She was wearing a light pink cocktail dress with little roses on the top. Once she was done changing, she paid for the dress. Once we were done we headed for our car, and started to drive back home. After our drive, we got home and changed into more comfortable clothing. Can you guys believe prom is this Friday? Alice asked, jumping on my bed. I can't wait. After prom, it's grad, and then we are finally done high school. Rose sighed in relief. I laughed as I listened to my friends chat about prom. I for one could not wait, especially since we had dates. The boys had already asked us. Emmett asked Rosalie by sending her flowers and spelling her name right, which made Rose extremely happy. Jasper asked Alice, covering almost every single flat surface of her room with yellow roses, where he had spelled prom in yellow roses on her bed. Edward asked me by driving me out to the beach, where in the sand there were the words, Bella plus Edward prom, written across the sand. I smiled sheepishly at the memory. What a crazy year it's been, Alice said thoughtfully. The boy fast. Rose laughed. That didn't last long. I laughed with her. Jake and Tyler, Alice said, nudging me. Ew, don't remind me, I joked. Jessica and her pack of cheerleaders. Jane and Lucy. What a year, I sighed. Alice and Rose sighed as well. So, have you guys gotten any letters from colleges yet? Alice asked, changing the subject. Yep, I got in at Forks U. Rose said proudly. Ditto, Alice and I said at the same time. See, told you guys we'd end up at the same place. Rose said. I wonder if the guys got in. Alice added. God knows, I said, chuckling. I looked at the clock. It was 12:30 a.m. Guess we should go to bed. I mean we do have school tomorrow. I told them. Yeah, I'm pooped from today anyway. Night, we all said to each other. Edward's P.O.V. Dude, you look like your dad. Emmett's voice boomed once I got out of the change room. Emmett, Jasper and I had all gone down to the nearest store where they sold tuxes and tried to find the best one for prom. Shut up, man, you're going to be wearing one too. I snapped. Relax guys, we are only going to have to wear them one night. Jasper reminded us, until Rose and I get to the hotel room and have wild after prom sex. Emmett drooled. We'd rather not know about you and Rose's sex life, Emmett. I told him, rolling my eyes. Anyway, I think this one's perfect, I said, Good, so let's get the hell out of here, Emmett said, making his way to the clerk. Once we were done paying for all 3 tuxes, we went to the car and made our way home. Can you believe prom is this Friday? Jasper asked. I know, dude. Do you know how annoying it's been? So many fucking girls have been asking me to go with them. Emmett groaned. I knew how he felt. We had to keep it a secret that we were going to prom with the Blue Babes since Angela was keeping guard on Alice and Jasper. I know how you feel, bro, I reassured him. We spent the rest of the drive sitting and chatting. Once I had dropped everyone home, I drove to Bella's house. I had to see my Bella. Bella's POV. I slept on my bed, dreaming of prom night. How perfect it was going to be, when I suddenly heard a little thud on my window. I quickly got out of bed and stepped over Alice into my window. I smiled. It was Edward. I put a finger up, indicating to him that I would be down in a minute. Quietly and quickly, I stepped out my room and ran downstairs. Once I was outside, I made my way to Edward, who greeted me with a kiss on the lips. Hello, he mumbled against my lips. Hi, I replied, smiling. We pulled away and looked at each other. What are you doing here? I asked. Not that I was complaining. I just wanted to see you, he said, lacing our fingers together and kissing me again. Oh, I said, laughing. I love you, he whispered in my ear. I love you too. Are you excited for prom? He asked. Yes, I bought my dress today, I said excitedly. I bought my tux today. He chuckled. I bet you look very handsome in it, I whispered. And I bet you look sexy in your dress. He let out a low growl. I giggled. Anyway, I should let you go back to bed, he said. Okay. Are you going to school tomorrow? I asked him. Of course, he replied. I grinned and he grinned back. Night, love, he said before pressing his lips to mine. Night, love you, I told him. Love you too, he said before walking to his car. I watched his leave before going back in my house. Once I got in my room, the lights turned on. You really think you could sneak off without us knowing? Rose asked. Maybe, I said, before laughing. Alice laughed and closed the light. Night, guys, I said before going back to bed. Good night, they said, and soon, we were all sleeping. Bella's POV. This was it. Tonight was the night. Tonight was prom night. Only 1 more hour until prom. Rose, Alice and I were all in Rosalie's room, getting our makeup on and getting ready. I had put on my black and white dress and put my hair up in a curly ponytail. Alice had slipped on her pink dress and fixed her hair so that half of it was in a long flat bun, and the rest fell freely. Rose and put on red dress and curled her hair and let it loose. Prom night already. Alice sighed, as she applied eyeliner. Can you believe it? Rosalie asked. Nope, I replied, and I really couldn't. It seemed like this year went by so fast. High school is finally over. I know, I am so happy, Alice squealed. Me too, I said. I looked over to my clock. Only 13 more minutes. We have to promise each other that we will always be best friends, okay? Rose asked. Deal, Alice and I said at the same time. We all looked at each other and smiled. Well, my mom and dad want to take pictures of us before the guys get here, so let's go. Quickly, we did our last touch-ups and then went downstairs, where my parents showered us with "Aw," and "Don't they look beautiful?" When we were done taking out last picture, we said our goodbyes. This was it. Jessica's POV. This was it. Prom night. The night I have been waiting for all my life. And it was finally here. I should be feeling excited, happy, like the luckiest person in the world. But instead I felt like dirt. Ew. And that was not right. I was Jessica Stanley, the prettiest girl in the world. I should not be sad on prom night. Which was the reason why I called over Lauren, Leah, Jake and Tyler. Now, you all are probably wondering why I called you all here. I started. Though you, Lauren, Jake and I were all going to prom together? Tyler interrupted. I noticed Leah slide down in her seat after not being named. That too, Tyler, but the real reason I called you all over is because tonight, we are not going to prom. What, why not? Tyler interrupted. Again. Tyler, would you shut up already so I can tell you? I snapped. Sorry, he mumbled. Anyway, as I was saying, we are not going to prom just to have a great time. We are going to prom to get revenge, I concluded. They all looked at me with confused faces, so I went on. We are getting revenge on the Blue Babes. Why would we do that? Jake asked. Didn't they totally TP your house or something? I asked. He nodded his head. Exactly, so why not get revenge? What are we going to do? Lauren asked. Well, let's just say, as Bella says, blue babes aren't the blue babes unless we are all in. I smirked. Alice's POV. After we were done taking pictures with Bella's parents, we left the house and made our way to prom in Rose's car. Saddle. Why the guys couldn't come get us because we didn't want our parents knowing I was going to prom with Jasper, since they would totally freak and tell my dad. And I didn't even want to know what would happen after he found that out. Once we were at school, we saw the guys. We quickly got out of the car and made our way towards them. I knew I probably looked like a total geek because of the big grin on my face. Jasper looked handsome in his tux. Once we got to them, Jasper wrapped his arms around my waist and set his lips on mine. "Well, don't you look handsome?" I mumbled. "And don't you look beautiful?" he replied, smiling. I giggled a little. Even after all this time we've been together, he still had this power of making me act like a fool. "You guys want to go in?" Emmett's voice boomed. "Sure," Rose said. Hand in hand, we all walked in the school and made our way to the gym. I gasped as we stepped into the gym. It was amazing. Balloons, banners, the walls looked freshly painted, music blasting. Bodies swaying to the music. It was exactly how I imagined prom. "Would you like to dance?" Jasper asked, gesturing with his other hand to the dance floor. I looked over and saw that Bella and Edward were already dancing. I nodded my head and started pulling him to the dance floor, and soon, our bodies were also swaying to the music as one. Rosalie's POV. "You look pretty hot tonight," Emmett shouted over the music as we danced. "And you look pretty sexy in the tux," I said suggestively. He pulled me closer and pressed his lips against mine. His hands started to travel around my body. "Hey, slow down there, big fellow. We can do that later tonight, when we are alone," I whispered in his ear. I stepped away and saw his eyes were wide. I couldn't help but to laugh at his expression. Suddenly the music stopped and Mr. Driano's voice filled the gym. "Welcome to prom. I am very proud to say that you all deserve this prom. You have all worked extremely hard these past years. And I cannot wait to see all your faces graduating and becoming successful. Lose some weight," Emmett suddenly shouted. I looked at him and playfully slapped his chest. He grinned sheepishly at me, while a roar of laughter started in the crowd. "Well, enjoy yourselves," mumbled into the microphone before leaving the stage. And then the music was starting and we all started to dance again. Bella's POV. "I love you," Edward whispered in my ear as we danced. I blushed and buried my head into his chest. "I love you too," I mumbled. He laughed lightly and kissed the top of my head. Quote, "I just wanted to tell you how amazing this year has been," he suddenly said. I looked up at him, a confused look on my face. "I mean, last year, you didn't even pay attention to me, and I was pretty upset. But now that we've been together, you've changed my life so much, Bella. When I'm with you, I feel happy, and like I don't have to be something I'm not. I don't have to pretend I'm some badass guy who only likes girls for sex," he said, looking at me in the eyes. We stared at each other and suddenly he shook his head and chuckled. "Sorry, I'm rambling." "No, Edward, that was beautiful. And I feel the same way. You really have no idea," I said. I felt my eyes get a little teary. He tightened his grip around me. "Promise me something, Bella," he whispered. "Anything. We'll be together forever," he said. I looked in his eyes. "Promise," I managed to say. I pressed my lips to his, sealing our promise. Alice's POV. After about half an hour of dancing, we all met up at the refreshment area and got drinks. "Are you guys having fun?" I asked everyone. "Yes," they all shouted. "Me too," I started to say when the doors of the gym suddenly slammed open, which caused me to jump. My eyes became wide when I saw my father stomp his way through the doors. Jasper's hold on my suddenly loosed. My dad looked around. When he finally found me, his eyes wide when he saw Jasper's arms wrapped around me. He started making his way towards us. I met him halfway. "This is nuts. I shouldn't be hiding Jasper from my dad." My dad needed to know I loved Jasper. "Mary Alice Brandon, what in God's name do you think you're doing here with that boy?" he asked me. "You mean Jasper? Oh, he's my prom date," I told him, a smile playing on my lips. Suddenly my confidence boosted up. "What did I tell you about hanging out with that man?" "That I shouldn't," I answered. "And what are you doing?" "Hanging with him. Let's go. You're getting out of here, right now," he ordered in a hushed voice. "No," I said boldly. "What did you just say?" "You heard me, Dad." I said no. I am not going to ruin my prom night because of an old, Stupid grudge you have against Jasper's family. Dad, it's not fair. You're not letting me be with the man I love because of something that doesn't even involve you. What happened was between Great Aunt Victoria and James. It was so long ago. And who cares if the Whitlock family's business is better than ours? We still have a great house, don't we? You're the one who told me love is an amazing gift, and that when you fall in love for someone, nothing can come between them. And I love Jasper, Dad, and I'm not letting you get in the way of our love anymore. I told him, tears filling my eyes. He looked at me for a couple moments. Oh, Alice, he whispered, pulling me into a hug. You are right, I am so sorry, he whispered, tightening his grip around me. He pushed me away lightly and signaled Jasper over. Jasper hesitated for a moment but then made his way to us. Jasper, I am sorry. For keeping you and my daughter from being with each other, I have made a big mistake. And I hope you can forgive me. Apology accepted, sir, Jasper said, smiling. My dad held out his hand to Jasper. Jasper took his hand and shook it. Take good care of her, my dad said. Jasper nodded and pulled me to his side. Have a good night, my dad said before leaving. What? Someone suddenly shouted. I immediately recognized the person's voice, Jessica Stanley. That's not supposed to happen, she snapped, pushing her way through the crowd towards us. What's wrong, Jessica? I asked. You're supposed to be going home, devastated. What are you doing here? She shouted, her face furious. I solved things with my dad, I said proudly. That's not what's supposed to happen, she said again. Wait, are you the one who brought my dad here? I asked her. No, what are you talking about? She said nervously. I glared at her. She took a step back and tripped over her dress and fell. Everyone started laughing at her. She quickly got up, bawling, and ran out of the gym. Oh well, I said. Let's party, I shouted and dragged Jasper to the dance floor. After about an hour or so later, it was time to announce the prom king and queen. I was so excited to find out who it would be. Mr. Driano came back to the stage. All right, ladies and gentlemen, this is the moment you've all been waiting for, he said. Is it time for you to leave? Someone shouted. No, it is time to announce who is your prom king and queen. We have had a lot of votes, and it was almost very close. I'd like to announce that your prom queen is Jessica Stanley. The crowd cheered. Jessica, acting all surprised, made her way to the stage. When she was on, they placed the prom queen tiara on her head and gave her a sash. And your prom king is Mike Newton. Everyone gasped when they heard, except for all the jocks. Jessica's face fell when she heard Mike's name being called. Mike made his way to the stage. Once on stage, they handed Mike his crow. And now it is time for the prom king and queen to have their dance. Everyone whistled as Mike pulled Jessica to the dance floor. The lights dimmed and a spotlight shone on Mike and Jessica. Mike placed his hands on Jessica's waist as Jessica wrapped her arms around his neck, being careful not to touch him. Prom is so overrated, she muttered. We all laughed. Prom rocked. Epilogue. Bella's P.O.V. 2 weeks after prom was exam week. The week everyone was stressed over. But we made it. We were finally done high school. It was now time for college and university. Our futures were now. Our past has been put behind us. But not all of it was behind. At least not the high school part, since today was graduation. Graduation was the day everyone had been waiting for since prom. Today was the day we were free from high school. As I sat in my row, I watched as all my classmates got up and got their diplomas. I smiled as Alice danced her way to the stage. Edward, Emmett, and Jasper took their diplomas as if it were nothing. Rosalie smiled brightly as she accepted hers. And then it was my turn. I slowly made my way to the stage, trying not to trip, but it didn't work. On the last step I tripped, but luckily I did not fall. I heard a faint laugh in the audience but quickly recovered. Once I was handed my diploma, I smiled and made my way off the stage. There we go, it was all over. No more high school. Once all the diplomas were given, our valedictorian, Bree Reilding, made her way to the stage. Hi, I am Bree Reilding. I have been a student here at Forks High School since grade 7. Aha, grade 7. Whenever I think of grade 7, I think of the ridiculous clothes we wore, our hair in pigtail braids, and our pogs contests. I know you all remember those. And then there's grade 8. Pretty much the same as grade 7, right? But then there was grade 9, when we suddenly all hit puberty, except for the guys' maturity. Leah paused for laughter, which everyone did. But remember when we went on an overnight trip to Port Angeles, And we found out that Jacob Black wet his pants because he missed his parents. We will never forget that one, Jake. But over the years, we have matured and become more confident in ourselves. We've had to go through many obstacles, but without those, we wouldn't be who we are now. Would we? I for one would not be. Because without those obstacles, I would be a shy girl, with no friends. You make friends, you lose friends, but the friends that stay with you the whole way, those are the ones that count, and those are the ones who will always be there for you. Even when you break up with your boyfriend or girlfriend, even if you lose your job, even when you get married, they will always be there for you. Anyway, I wish you guys the best of luck in the future and I hope we meet again. Thank you, Leah finished before coming off the stage. Everyone got up and clapped. I had tears in my eyes. Her speech made so much sense, and touched me. Mr. Driano made his way back to the microphone. And now, family, friends, teachers, I would like to present to you the class of 1953. He said. All the grads jumped from their seats and threw our hats in the air. We were finally free. We all stepped outside, where our families were waiting for us. Oh, I am so proud of you girls. My mom wailed, giving Alice, Rose and I hugs. Congrats, kiddo, my dad said. Rose and Alice went to their parents. Thanks, Mom and Dad, I said, hugging them. Well, we'll leave you with your friends. We will see you at home, all right? My mom asked. I nodded my head and gave them one last hug. I went up to Rose and Alice and noticed that their parents were also leaving. Well, we are done, I said once I got to them. Oh my God, Alice squealed. Suddenly a pair of arms wrapped themselves around my waist. Hello, love, Edward whispered in my ear. Hello, I giggled. Happy that high school's over? He asked. Yes, I said, turning myself around to face him. That's good, we have great news. Emmett's voice suddenly boomed. I turned around and noticed that Jasper and Emmett had also wrapped their arms around Alice and Rose. Tell us, Rose said. We are going to Forks University. Jasper shouted. Alice squealed. Oh my God, she was jumping up and down now. So we are all going to university together? I asked, making sure. Yes, Edward sighed, giving me a peck on the cheek. And suddenly, the future looked a lot more promising. The end.